Welcome to another episode of Bussin With The Boys. I am your host, Will Compton. We have a lot to talk about on this intro. Before we we'll give you guys a little teaser. Taylor, Fallen Soldier. We can talk about that for a second. We have Spooktober coming up, October 1st. Spooktober is fucking, the week is here. And hey, boys, can we get some fucking energy? Spooktober, Saturday, October 1st. The spook is fucking upon us. Let's go. We'll talk about the rules of Spooktober because we do know that the boys have been on a terror this entire year. Terror is used too now. Hang on, well, we got Spooktober coming up, so we got some new listeners. People are gonna want to know how do we partake in Spooktober. What else? PFT. We were in Knoxville over the weekend. We interviewed PFT, and he brought his friend with him. He sat in on the episode as well. NFL headlines. We can talk about Bet the Bus. What did I go yesterday? 3-1. 3-1. The guy went 3-2. The parlay hit as well. The Bet the Boys parlay hit as well. Like, we're fucking back. We had a bad collegiate day on Saturday. We will probably not talk about that part. But before we get into this whole episode, this episode is brought to you by the Chevy Silverado. It's still early in the season, and every team is still in the hunt. And I mean, make sure to bleep that out. And every team is still in the hunt. You might have started off 0-3 and you might think your season's dead. However, that's not the case. It's still very early in the year. Your team can go on an absolute terror and end up turning it around in an instant. It's the NFL, any given Sunday, boys. But the team that has already won it all is the Chevy Silverado. According to J.D. Power, the Chevy is the most awarded brand for new vehicle quality, and Chevy trucks have won more new vehicle quality awards than any other brand. Champions don't stop. They keep moving forward. They don't settle. They don't listen to the outside noise of all the success that they have had and rattled off. Week in and week out, the Silverado brings everything with its unstoppable grit and determination. Head over to Chevy.com to learn more about the Chevy Silverado, or go to your local retailer. Is that what it is? Local retailer? Is that it? Local dealership? Yeah, dealership. I think that's the right local dealership. Let them know that the boys sent you. If you go to Freeland Auto in the greater Nashville area, they're gonna hook you up with a free trailer hitch and some merchandise that's already been established. For those guys who love the data and love to trust the data, for JD Power 2022 US award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Now, let's get into it. Where should we start? Should we start at Spooktober? Should we let people understand like what Spooktober, or should we take a moment for the Fallen Soldier? Take a moment. So you guys are probably wondering why the boy Taylor's not here to co-host. We lost him early in the game last Monday night. Monday night in Buffalo, somebody shot him from up in the nosebleeds. He dropped, I think, on first or second play of the game. And he just got told the information a couple days ago that his season is over. So the boy is headed to IR. But if you're watching right now, I think what we should do is we should act like he's like dead. We should make it seem like he died, like Taylor died on the field. He died on the gridiron because everybody's I think there's some stuff going around, Taylor appreciation posts. All that stuff is coming on the timeline now. I think we should just pretend that we lost him. Like, so are
we going to put Taylor in the clouds with Harambe?
Oh, maybe we should. I think we should.
Over Nissan?
Yeah. If you're watching right now, comment RIP Taylor Lewan, RIP the boy. Any of it, we're just going to act like we've lost him in battle. But with that said, like, let's take a moment of silence. Taylor Lewan, all-time left tackle for the Tennessee Titans, no longer with us. Thanks, boys. Taylor, we love you, brother. See you next week. But that sucks, man. Like, the boys battled the last few years, and just, I've watched it, the whole, him trying to GBOT, get back on track after the first ACL tear. My man gets popped for the PED thing, battles through that coming back. The next year, tears his ACL midway through the year, was having a good year. Tears his ACL, and that's what started the whole fucking up and down roller coaster ride of coming back because it's tough. Like you look at Green Bay, like Bakhtiari tore his ACL the same year later in the year. David didn't play at all last year, and he's been getting slowly put back in this year. So essentially like 2 years to bounce back from an ACL. And it's just brutal, man. I see the work that this dude puts in every offseason or has put in every offseason to just get back on track. Like mentally, that is a fucking grind to come back from a major surgery, especially when you feel the pressure and the stresses of being like the highest paid offensive lineman when he signed that deal. Like there's a lot of expectation and pressure that like comes with that. And you can think of it as like, I mean, you're paid. It's all good. Like you're going to be, that's true. But the human element of all of us, like you end up subconsciously putting that pressure on yourself because you love and appreciate a fan base in a city that drafted you and bet on you a second time for a 5-year deal. And you feel like you don't want to let those people down. Yes, you're taken care of forever, but like you hate like letting, like football's the most selfless sport in the world. And when you feel like you can't be out there, you feel like you're disappointing your teammates, your coaches, the people that believed in you, your family, like the fans and everything else, especially when you know you're doing everything necessary every offseason, my man. The food, like everything, the PTs, like he's done so much shit to try and bounce back. And for him to like be put on IR again for the same knee, it's just got to be such a tough blow mentally because again, like you have some of the games last year where you come out or you get rolled up on or you're limping or you have the swelling. He hyperextended his knee in the Seattle game during fucking warmups last year and can't play. And I would assume like as a player, you think of like you get labeled as an injury guy. Like that fucking sucks because then when you're labeled that, like you feel like you have to over explain yourself for being injured because you're just so like, you want nothing more than to go out there and play at a high level. And then when you get taken out and it's the knee and there's not like hope on coming back, it's just like, it sucks because it's been like 3 years of that for the boy.
Well, beginning of the season too, when the Titans released Kern, he became the longest tenured Titan.
Yeah.
So that just adds on top of what you're saying. Like you don't want to let anyone down. It's like Taylor Lewan has been here.
He was like the only guy on the roster who has seen a losing season in Tennessee because
Right.
they've turned it around the way they have since Vrabel's came on board. And it just sucks, dude. Like it's brutal. Like that fucking sucks. And like, and on the business side of it, like again, you play all those games because you want to be in the two-tone blue your entire career. And yeah, you play so many different situations in your head and it just sucks. It just sucks. You're prime time, you're ready to fucking block Von Miller. I mean, fuck, I wouldn't want to block Von Miller. But and then to go out, just fucking for what was the second play of the game? First play? Second play?
It was in the first drive. I know that.
Yeah, I man, it fucking sucks. And to think like, oh, I got to clap back again. Like Thomas Davis tore his ACL like 3 times and still amassed like a Pro Bowl and shit like that. But just the mental like fortitude and shit you need to have to like, again, be like, fuck, it's about to be another grueling fucking year another battle to bounce back on. It sucks, man. But the boy will be back with us next week. You'll probably be hearing from him soon. But obviously, given that he just heard his news a couple of days ago, he wanted to take a week. In all respects to the boy, remember, if you're in the comments right now, we're gonna he's dead. Like we lost him. But we just act like he's gone. Yeah, speaking of dead, fucking Spooktober is upon us. And for everybody new that's tuning in that doesn't necessarily know what Spooktober is the entire month of October. Like holiday season starts with Spooktober. You get in a full month of Spooktober, then you got Thanksgiving to look forward to, then you got Christmas to look forward to. Holiday season's like here, and nothing gets you in the season like Spooktober, like October coming up, like Halloween, the goons, the goblins, the killers, the slashers, Mike Myers, Jason Voorhees, all the boys. So here is how you participate in Spooktober. Rule number 1, refer to October as Spooktober. Rule number 2, you watch a spook a day. What do I mean by that? It can be a scary movie. It can be like a Halloween holiday theme movie. It could be like Charlie Brown. It could be a cartoon. It doesn't matter. As long as you're in the spirit of Spooktober, you got to run a spook a day. Maybe you got kids at home and you want to throw something on and get them in the spook, get them in the vibes. But all you got to do, rule number 2, watch a spook a day. We will be dropping a movie that we watch every day. Engage with us, talk to us. We love that shit. We'll be sharing it because again, we are all embracing the spook together. Which leads me to Rule number 3, a Halloween themed event every weekend. Whether you go to a pumpkin patch, a haunted house, you know, what else, boys?
Haunted, what is it? The haunted cornfields?
Yeah, haunted cornfields.
Yeah, the maze.
Maze.
Pumpkin patch.
Pumpkin patch again. You go to a different pumpkin patch. There you go, Bossy. We said pumpkin patch the first one, but that's okay. You can double up on pumpkin patches. You go apple picking. Something that just gets you out there, drink some cider, like partake. Maybe you have a little fire and you guys are embracing the spook somehow. Every weekend, figure out a way to embrace the spook. And rule number 4, which I've said it with the last 2 rules, is embrace the spook. One way you can do that outside of all those rules is we also have merchandise. What you see me wearing, a Spooktober dad hat. We just added that to the toolbox. We got Spooktober themed shirts out there. Store.barstoolsports.com/Bussin With The Boys. You will see our Spooktober merch. Buy a piece of merch. We got cool shirts and a hat, and that's pretty much it, right?
That's it.
2 shirts and a hat. Embrace the fucking spook. A spook a day. Halloween themed event each weekend, and refer to October as Spooktober. That's it. It's simple.
Amen.
We're literally just embrace the spook every day. All you got to do. If you feel like you're in doubt, go check us out. Go see whatever we're posting about on Twitter and just piggyback that. Oh, the boys are watching this tonight. Let's watch this, sweetheart.
Maybe take a video of you scaring people around town and tag us.
Ooh, bro, I love good scaring. Like when I was at HQ a week or 2 ago, whenever that was, we would go around to we were doing something for, she wanted a promo for our shirts, our Spooktober shirts. And we would have somebody she would say, hey, I need help with getting something off the top shelf in the closet. And I would be hidden in the closet behind boxes. And people would come in and I'd just jump out and scare the shit out of them. It was fucking awesome. Or you're walking down the hall and somebody you don't even know, you're just kind of walking normal. And then you scream at them and then they just fucking freak out. But yeah, scare people. Take videos of it too. That's Spooktober though. I think we're all fired up. Are you guys pretty excited about Spooktober?
Absolutely.
Decorate your house. That's a way you can embrace the spook. Theme up your house. I was at Taylor's, the way that they're running that thing, they should be selling tickets for their house because of how spooky it is at their house. I'm not shitting you. It's think the Griswold family decorating for Christmas. It's this, but on Spooktober. It's wild. Noise machines going on the whole time. There's smoke going on 24/7 all night around.
And he's got 2 kids.
Yeah, and they embrace the spook, bro. Little Winnie, she's all about Spooktober. She's all about being spooky and spiders and witches and everything else. She's literally at the game she had a mask on, showing me her witch mask. She's a week ahead, so she needs to slow it down. But October 1, Spooktober, it starts this Saturday. I couldn't be more excited about it. Let's get into the Tennessee trip. We had an awesome trip in Knoxville over the weekend. Shout out to everybody who came and said what's up. The Barstool College Football Show was fucking electric. We picked a dog of the week. Casey cucked me. I don't know if you guys saw that, but Casey cucked me. My dog of the week, it's shown in production notes that I was choosing Smokey the dog. She goes first and literally just shouts out Smokey the dog the whole time. So I had to pivot. I shout out that dog, Hendon Hooker, who's a stud. I think their entire offense, basically, I'm not disrespecting that. With that one receiver, 80, 84, 85, had a hell of a catch in the first half. It was fucking awesome. But Hooker is a stud, bro. The Volunteers, they look like they're number 8 in the polls right now. Who are they coming up on? Who do they got this next week or in a couple weeks?
They have a bye this coming weekend, and then they follow up with LSU and then the Crimson Tide. And then, Georgia and Kentucky or somewhere in that. Yeah, and of course the Gamecocks.
South Carolina, respects to South Carolina. But I'll tell you what, you're sitting there at number 8 in the country, undefeated right now, riding high. This is the thick of it you want to be in.
This is when you want the bye.
Yeah, you want the bye. You want to start rating the guys up. Whoever's injured, you want to get them back to full health because, LSU, Bama, and Georgia shortly after that. South Carolina, no disrespect to the boys. But that's the spot you want to be in. We'll figure out if they're the real deal. I'm loving the orange. We visited this weekend. Shout out Miss Dondi Plowman, the chancellor of Tennessee. She was the head of the Nebraska Business School when I was at Nebraska. Your boy took business because businessman. And literally we had followed each other back when I was in college. And so we've been following each other on Twitter for over a decade. And when she was the chancellor at Tennessee and we did our spring tour this year, or we took the bus out last year, she's like, hey, next year, don't forget that, I'm sitting in the chancellor's seat here. Whatever you guys need, I'll get you guys taken care of. Hit her up this year, dude. It was all time. I felt like the customer service was like we were at Nebraska. Obviously, the relationships aren't as close with the equipment room, the football team, and everything else. Eckler, yes, Coach Hype, he remembers us. baseball coach's name.
Tony V.
Yeah, Tony V, bro. Got to see him, and it was awesome. He was at the Barstool College football show too. But dude, she was like, she literally, we were up there, and she goes, Will, I want you to look at Tennessee as your second college. Say less. Tennessee Vols, they are my second team. Nebraska's on a bye week, so I got to root for the Big Orange all the time. And you kind of need a little bit of hope going into the rest of this year. I don't want everybody in Tennessee to start getting scared because I am now onboarding with the Vols and everybody thinks like I'm a curse, which is fine.
They cracked the top 10. Will hopped in.
It's just right. I'll say this. The games I've been at, we're undefeated. Where we've taken Bussin, that we're undefeated. We won in Nebraska.
Oh, this
we
year?
won in Tennessee.
You're saying this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
This year. Don't bring in last year. Yeah, this year.
Nebraska, Michigan.
True. Kind of like the Raiders-Titans game. I felt like I couldn't lose. I was repping the Raiders colors for sure. And I was taking some heat on that. We interrupt this episode to bring you Game Time, created by fans for fans. This is the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time is a new ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows, all the events you want, and they guarantee the lowest possible price. If you haven't given Game Time a shot yet, don't know what you're waiting for, boys. You guys are going to love this app. We've had tons of Barstool fans using it, hitting us up on social about what games and what great deals they're getting. I've been using the Game Time app all year. When I got my tickets, I had to get tickets for my boys that came to town for the Titans-Raiders game. I used the Game Time app to get those deals because I do need the lowest possible prices because I can't take care of everybody. So easy to use, amazing deals. It's the fastest growing ticketing app in the U.S., and you're going to love it. Download the Game Time app, go to the account tab to create a login and redeem code BUSSIN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time, last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Back to the episode. We can pivot. Anything else in the Vols? It was a great visit. Like, sponsored by Bojangles. Shout out everybody at Bojangles. I love the Bojangles fried chicken, getting it in our lives. We were set up well at the indoor facility to do our interview with PFT that you guys are going to hear in a little bit. But yeah, we got the red carpet rollout for us. Saw the Raiders GM, Dave Ziegler, on the sideline. We're talking about year 10 with him. He saw me out. Hey, Will, I'm Dave Ziegler. I'm the GM of the Raiders. I was like, yo, you were Taylor's guidance counselor in high school. And he starts laughing. And we started, yeah, bro. He was a guidance counselor in high school. He was Taylor's guidance counselor.
Taylor?
Yes, at his high school. And now he's the GM of the Raiders. We start laughing and stuff. And so, of course, I start bantering with him about year 10. Like, hey, what are we doing? And I go, do we need to you want me to get a workout in right here? I start hitting punt sets right from him. Like, somebody need to get out of camera. You can send it to your scouts. Like, we can let the chips fall where they may. Did go 4-1 on your guys' team last year. I don't know if you remember that. But we were having some good laughs. Got to know him a little bit. But it was awesome, man. We got the pregame sideline passes. The atmosphere in Tennessee is electric. Like, I know it's not that way for every game. It's not that way for every game. It's the big games that come to town. You would love to see some consistency with the Tennessee Vols. It's like Nebraska. We can be 0-10. We're going to sell out the game. We're still going to be loud for the first quarter anyway. Tennessee, like, we went to Ole Miss and now Florida, and like, it's deafening noise, bro. Mitch, I know you said Penn State, but as I've played in Penn State, I still think Tennessee's the loudest experience I've had.
You said the DP level got up to 1.
Not only,
but Tennessee's built straight up, whereas Penn State's a little bit more. It's got a little bit more outer. It's more bold.
also has 30,000.
That's a good point.
Holy shit.
A good point.
That's
They get
crazy.
Grab the mic.
Yeah, Mitch. By the way, Mitch Carlsley.
Parsley.
I'm just kidding. I know I was butchering that on purpose. I already did it for the vlog. But we got a new shout out Mitch. His first podcast. His first pod that he's been on. But Mitch is joining our team. We got him from the NASCAR.
Yeah.
NASCAR background. We stole him from NASCAR a little bit, offered him a little bit of money, tried getting him out of there.
Yep.
I don't know. Am I allowed to say that? Like, nobody's going to take that the wrong way over at NASCAR, are they?
I don't think so.
I think everybody's for the boys on NASCAR.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But we're happy to have Mitch. Anyway, that's Mitch talking. He thinks Penn State's louder than Tennessee.
I think Penn State's definitely louder than Tennessee. I'm not a Penn State.
Don't say definitely. Like, don't double down.
I mean, all right, but I've been to 2 Penn State whiteouts. The atmosphere is unreal. I would say Tennessee, the checkered, like with the stands and everything, that was dope as well. But I think I got to ride with Penn State.
So you're just saying I was playing at the wrong game on Penn State?
Yeah, I think so.
It was the week of the Sandusky.
Well, I mean, that has everything to do with it then.
Yeah, dude, it was the week of the Jerry Sandusky case. They thought about canceling our game because people were flipping stuff. Things were getting caught on fire. There was like riots going on, trying to like take him down. But that was the week of Sandusky. It was weirdly eerie in the theme of Spooktober, Jesus. But like we went and stayed at a motel that shared a parking lot with his whatever charity it was. That building shared the parking lot. Our motel, walking outside, outdoors, motel. Dude, it was a spooky setting that weekend. Then you like do a prayer before and everything else. So it was kind of like a people coming together type of thing because of all the shit that was going down with him and all the things that were coming out. But it was, maybe that was like just wasn't as loud because the old Sandusky.
Nothing to be loud about. One of their coaches is just weird. No,
yeah.
Like in the lightest.
Yeah, but Tennessee gets rowdy.
They definitely
Tennessee
do.
gets
They
fucking
definitely do.
rowdy. We love Tennessee. Tennessee loves the boys too. Like it was a good time. It was electric out there. What do you got, Garrett?
It'll be a good time to drop that merch too.
Oh yeah. Hang on. You show the camera back on you guys, Bloss and Garrett. That's a great pull, G. So we got new colorways. I tweeted out last week a sample. With the samples came in for the hats. The boys, the diamond hats that you guys see. There's like Steelers / Iowa Hawkeye fans. You guys are gonna love those. Bloss is rocking the Niner colors. We have the Tennessee. Those hats that you saw me wearing at Knoxville. Those hats. All that stuff is dropping on this Thursday. All our new colorways. Some new merch we're rolling out. We're getting into some other fan bases. That's rolling out this Thursday. Be early on it because some stuff does sell out, like our two-tone blue Titans, the boys hats. Those are out. Those are getting made right now. They're coming back, but just don't miss out on that merchandise. If you guys are into the hats, the boys tees, the lightning ones that we got on, buy those up, dude, because all that stuff's rolling out. Dude, which ones, can we say which ones are coming out? I mean, we got Niners, we got Hawkeyes.
The Niners, we got the Commanders
coming out.
The Buffalo Bills.
Bills Mafia.
We have the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Yeah, Iowa Hawkeyes.
Tennessee Volunteers.
Tennessee Vols. I think that's it, right? Like we're trying to work on maybe some Chiefs stuff, right?
Right.
That's a base. I think we're
gonna tiptoe that one.
Yeah, tiptoe. Look, everybody knows I bleed silver and black. A two-tone blue, silver and black, red, big red. Commanders colors. I bleed all of those colors at one time.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, all that stuff will be coming out. I'm telling you, Thursday. It's dropping on Thursday. Make sure to pick that stuff up. Let's get into the NFL headlines coming out of the weekend, boys. I did go whatever my record was this weekend. I lost surprisingly. I did not think the Bills. I shouldn't say that because I think Coach McDaniels is a really good coach. I think he's an offensive genius. It's been said by multiple people that he's a stud. But I did think Bills were going to win that football game. It was surprising that they lost because they've outscored their opponents 70-something to like 15. And they ended up losing that game. And what a weird sequence of events with Tua. He getting like knocked out, stumbling, and then he's back on the field. Now they're going under investigation for that.
Yeah, what happens with that?
What is the protocol too? Is it like
I don't know. So the protocol is somebody who's like gotten concussed and not been allowed back in the game. You like go through this iPad. You have like this standard you do in the off season where you like play these games, right? You do all these like brain games, remembering letters, remembering words, remembering number sequences, walking lines, like doing a lot of stuff that's like on the iPad that you compete at. And you get a baseline of what your times are. Like only like the iPad and the training room, they know the baseline of where you are, like your reaction time, your focus, whatever, your memory and all that shit is what it's remembering. It's what it is remembering. And so when you get concussed, you go through like that same testing, that same protocol. You got to go inside, you got to go through all these brain games and everything else. And I think they correlate it with your baseline that you did in the off season. If you pass those numbers with flying colors, you get like the same times, you're good to go. They talk to you, you say, hey, I'm good, like I can play and do this and that. You are usually free to go back into the game. Now, I think what everybody's getting pissed off about, like the NFLPA and everything else, is you look at the footage and it's like, even though the guy is saying that and he passes all these tests, like there should be an element of, we're going to look out for this player just because even though all the data says he's good and he's saying he's good, we should take him out of the game. That's what I'm assuming without knowing any of the conversations going on. On Tua's side and the team side, like obviously the team, you want your quarterback out there. Let's just hypothetically say, and this could be the case, like you are looking out for your star quarterback. Like you want what's best for them. Like when mine happened, it was in Denver and it was our last game of the year. Yeah, it was our last game of the year in 2019. There was like a half a quarter left in the game. And I did pass it fairly well. Like I was a little off. And they're like, bro, we're just gonna keep you out. Like, I mean, it's the end of the season. We're not going to the playoffs. It's the last game of the year. We're gonna keep you out. Now, I would assume that there are still like, Tua, are you sure? Like, we probably shouldn't, or we shouldn't do this and that. And it's like, how are you feeling? And maybe Tua is like saying, hey, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. Like, I know how that looked, but I'm fine. I'm passing all these tests, yada, yada, yada. They might look at each other like, fuck, man. Ultimately, like, hey, it's your call. I'm doing hypotheticals right now because I'm trying to be in the position of, all right, if you're Tua and you're really trying to play, like, actually, like, dude, guys, I'm fucking fine trying to play. Then it's like, you let him go out there. And I think where everybody's getting pissed off is like, even though he's saying that, and even though he's passing all these baseline tests, you should know based on what happened out there that he should not go back on the football field. Those are all the different scenarios that I'm assuming. And that's why I think like NFLPA and everybody's going to get involved with that. So here's Ian Rappaport. Here's what he tweeted. When did he tweet this?
3 hours ago.
23 hours ago. Okay. So I just said all of that. And I am not aware of this Ian Rappaport tweet. His tweet, my understanding of the Tua situation, he tweaked his back in the first quarter on a sneak and didn't miss time. After the Matt Milano hit, his back locked up, leading to him wobbling into the locker room for a full concussion check, fully cleared, now on the field. So again, if you're Tua in that situation, and let's just say he's fully like arguing to go back on the field, they could be saying, hey, this is how it looked like. That's my back locking up based on that sneak, right? Like this is why I kind of went down because it pinched. The boy, listen, I did a workout this morning. I kind of tweaked my back a little bit. That shit does happen. Year 10 is in danger. But that's kind of like, I guess, my take as far as like if I'm fully Tua the player and I'm fully trying to play versus like I'm gonna kind of like, it felt bad. Like only he knows, right? That's why it's him arguing from his shoes if he wants to go back on the field. If he fully cleared again on the baseline, it's like it's a tough situation. I do see why the NFLPA and people are trying to get involved because ultimately, like we're trying to progress and grow from all these brain injuries and everything else. And you don't want to see him go back out on the field. So like, hey, you need to step in and protect him, even though he's trying to fully sell that he's all right. So like I can kind of see every side. The Raiders are 0-3. Listen. If anybody understands optimism, it's me. I've been in these situations in the NFL with my college football team currently with the Nebraska Cornhuskers. The Raiders have life left. They have the ingredients. They came out flat against the Titans, and hats off to number one. And I'm talking about the Raiders being 0-3 right now. I will get to the Titans had a fucking hell of a game and they needed that win. Like they needed to bounce back and win. But right now I'm talking about the Raiders being 0-3. You come out flat. You kind of put together a good second half, but you had the ingredients to be a good football team. You can argue about the offensive line. We could get better here. We could get better there. But at the end of the day, the plays were out there on the field to make. You got DC barely overthrown Waller one time when he got behind the defense. You would love to see D-Wall bring that thing in one-handed and take it to the house. D-Wall had a tough catch in the end zone where he could have caught the ball and had 6 points. It ends up bopping up. Kevin Byard picks it off. They take it back. Like it's a game of momentum. You get an interception. I forget the safety's name, but shout out to safety. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. He picks off Tannehill in the third quarter, and you are pretty much in field goal range. Penalties, call, everything else backs you up, and you have to have a punt. You get no points out of that interception, which is a momentum swing. I guess I'm saying all these things to know, like it's not like it's a bad football team and they're just not winning games. They're not taking advantage of their advantageous situations, and they're not capitalizing like when they have the opportunities to go up in the game. Last week against the Cardinals, you're up 20-0. You got to figure out a way to step on their neck in the second half. You're up 20-0 at home. Continue to foot on the gas pedal and win that fucking game. You let them get back in the 2-point conversions and everything else. Again, they're up 20-0. It's not like they're a bad football team getting beat by the Cardinals. The week before against what we're all thinking is a good Chargers football team, you lose that game by 5 points with 4 turnovers. Again, I'll find the optimism in all these games because I do think that they're a good team. They got so many weapons. Number 10 steps up yesterday. It's like Runner Renfro's down. All right, Devontae Adams needs to get. You still got Josh Jacobs, who's averaging like 6 yards a carry. yesterday. It's like, you know, you can stick with the run game, but also you're behind by 2 possessions in the second half. It's kind of hard to. But you got Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, all these cats, bro. And the defense bowed up in the second half because Derrick Henry, they were moving the ball. The boys were moving the ball in the first half. And so it's like they got all these weapons, and then 10 comes out of nowhere and steps up in the game. You realize you got another fucking weapon now when Hunter Renfrow comes back. So again, it's like they have the ingredients, and I've talked to the boys, like they love, like McDaniels, he comes from that Patriot where, like, I do think that they have the culture stuff from what I've heard in that building. And I know the locker room, like it's an awesome locker room to be a part of with the player accountability and like trying to eliminate the outside noise because there's a fuck ton of it. When it comes to the Raiders fan base, like they're ready to sell everything, cut Carr, fire the head coach, let's start over again. It's literally been 1 year. This is the first year they've all been together. But that's like the heat that's on the street right now. But they've got to win this next week against Denver. And look, I'm not a player on the team, so I can say whatever I want to. Like they should beat Denver. Like Denver's not a better football team than the Raiders. They should beat Denver at home. And then you got some momentum going against the Chiefs before you go into your bye week. So there's still life left. Like there's a pulse there, but you cannot go into the bye week 1-4 or 0-5, where it's like you're behind the 8 ball. The good thing is that the Chiefs lost to the Indianapolis Colts. Wild. Cannot believe they lost to the Indianapolis Colts. You saw Mahomes. You saw some arguing going on the sideline. Like that is a wild loss by the Chiefs. But if you're the Raiders, you needed the Chiefs to lose because they were them before this loss. The Chargers got whooped by the Jaguars. And again, are Jaguars them? Like are Jaguars about to run the South? Which is a wild thing to say. They've been putting up close to 30, if not north of 30 points per game. And I don't want to say that we were flirting with the idea, but we were rumoring the whole Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence connection before the season started. We just didn't have, like, I didn't want to be the guy that says the Jaguars might win the division this year. I'm thinking it's either going to be the Colts or the Titans based on their rosters and what they got on paper. But the Jags are they can be legit, dude. They're playing good ball. And they handled the Chargers, who is a good football team. I guess time will tell because Chargers are what now? I know you were just on that. What are Chargers are 1-2. The Broncos are a sneaky 2-1. I think they're a sneaky 2-1. They shouldn't be a real 2-1 football team. This is me talking. I'm not a player. I'm not on the roster. You know what I'm saying? I can talk my shit a little bit. They're a sneaky 2-1. Shout out to boy Melvin Gordon. He's been going digital. Shout out to my man securing the football on the goal line and going it in for the go-ahead touchdown last night. Not fumbling it. And the Chiefs lost. So, again, I know we're 0-3 and we're down bad in the silver and black. We're down bad right now in Vegas, but there is still a little bit of optimism. There's still a little bit of pulse. It's like we're not freaking out right now. We cannot freak out. There's got to be some light, and we will bear this cross of having some optimism going into these next couple weeks.
0-3 is the new 0-2. That added game.
I fucking love that, Blas. Get the microphone. Say that.
Said 0-3 is the new 0-2, so it's still possible to make it into the postseason.
But say why you said 0-3 is the new 0-2 because
there was an added game, and people tend to forget that. All they're looking at is that 0-3.
I love, sprinkle that shit up, brother. 0-3 is the new 0-2, and we're not panicking on 0-2. This is not the league to do it. You can do it in the NCAA. That's kid shit. We're at the big dog table. We're not freaking out for 0-2. I love that. That juiced me up even more. That juiced me up even more, bro. Yo, on that Broncos-Niners game last night, fuck. What are we doing, Blas? George Kittle? Like, hey, you guys got the squad. You guys got a squad.
We definitely do. We have the squad. We have the talent. We have literally a top 5 player in probably the most important positions. You have it at left tackle. You have it at fullback.
Talk to him.
You have it at tight end. You have it at wide receiver. Linebacker. I mean, our secondary is crazy. Our defense is crazy. Our defense allowed 9 points. Our offense gave them 2. That's why we lost.
Gave them 2. It was like 7-5 going into the 4th, right?
Yeah, it was such a weird score. Weird
and the
score.
safety, like Jimmy Garoppolo, is he the new Dan Orlovsky? I saw Dan's tweet. I absolutely loved it. Freedom. Somebody else did it.
But did you see the way Dan did it versus the way Jimmy did it?
I saw the way it did it, but the result's still the same.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Shout out my man Dan Orlovsky. He's out there spitting game every week and educating the masses on football, actually.
Speaking of that, did you see the butt kick?
The butt kick.
The butt punt. Sorry, yeah.
No, I saw Pat tweet about that though and say, oh no. And they like punted into the back of the PP. Yeah, that's bad ball, dude.
Mark Sanchez was happy. He tweeted about it too.
Yeah, shit happens, man. Any given Sunday. But I love that for Dan Orlovsky. We are massive fans over here at Bussin' the Boys of Dan Orlovsky. He needs to come on the bus at some point in time. But I'm glad he just feels liberated from Jimmy G getting a safety. And the fucking Niners are lucky too, because that was a pick six. It was a turnover.
Yeah, they said he gave up 8 points. If that would have counted.
Yo,
he gave up 6.
That's wild. Yeah. You get the safety, throw a pick six. Oh God, the safety was a good thing. But I cannot believe you guys lost that game. I'm a little closet Niners fan just because the boy Kittle. Like we need him to pick it up.
We're still not panicking though. Remember, there was an extra game added.
All right, well, let's talk to him. Get them new hats on Thursday.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are enjoying this intro. We interrupt to bring you guys Ridgewald. Shout out to Ridgewald. No free shout outs. An ultra slim minimalist wallet. It holds up to, get ready for this, it holds up to 12 cards plus room for cash. There's over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. The durable material means each wallet comes with a lifetime warranty. The Ridge team is so confident that you'll like it that they'll let you test drive it for 45 days. You can send it back for a full refund if you don't love this shit. It's made with RFID blocking technology that protects you from digital pickpocketers. Check out their site, ridge.com, and use code BUSSIN, that's BUSSIN, for 10% off your first order, or 10% off your order, not just first order, all the orders. And with every dollar spent on the website before September 30th, you'll be entered to win a brand new upgraded Ford Bronco, or if you're a Chevy guy, $75,000 if you prefer cash. That's ridge.com. Use code BUSSIN for 10% off your order. Back to the episode. Are the Jags legit, Garrett? Garrett is our NFL insider for the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, our AFC South representative. He wears a two-tone in blue. Hey, I know it's hard. It might not be as hard to say, but it feels weird to say, like, the Jaguars might be them in the AFC South.
Yeah, it's tough to see, especially just because, like you were saying, nobody was talking about them. It was the Colts and only the Colts, but
Colts
maybe they're turning it around. Right.
But I know what you mean.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I haven't really watched a full Jags game, just the highlights. But what is it? What's the running back's name? James Robinson?
Mm-hmm.
Looks nice.
Yeah, ETN, he's a little dog.
And then, of course, I'm not a fan of Trevor Lawrence from college to now. Like, I have to play against him again.
Yeah.
Twice a year.
He looks like a good ball player. Like he's coming into his own. And I think it's a lot.
He is a good ball player, and he's got a coaching staff. It's hilarious to see how bad Urban Meyer was. Right.
And it like we were talking about it before the season started, but Doug Peterson, he's like, he gets them quarterbacks right. Like Wentz was a dog when he was with him, and then when he went down, Foles comes in and goes right away and takes him to a Super Bowl and wins it. Like Peterson's got the vibe. And one of my boys, Nate Gary, he was on the Eagles, like with the Peterson staff, and he just says like they're the fucking best. Like they're awesome to play for. So it's like it's a combo. What I love about the NFL too, like even with the AFC South now, is the Colts beat the Chiefs. Like you think you're a shitty football team and you go out and beat one of the juggernauts of the NFL, like you have life now, right? Exactly. Like, hey guys, you go in the locker room, you hold up that football as the head coach. We can play with anybody. One of those speeches, right?
It's exactly what you said last week, like about the panic button. And you're saying that it's the NFL. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, bro.
Kind of showed that again.
Yeah. And again, like even on the Titans, like you start 0-2 and it looks shaky because if you're just speaking objectively, like, we could have some inside the locker room takes as far as like, oh, he's still a dog, even though he's not a big name, like he's still a dog. He's a dog. You can say all this stuff about the players inside, but there's no firepower at like receiver, right? You don't have nobody to like take the top off. The Titans are known for running the football, and all the stats coming out of the first 2 games with the Titans is that Derrick Henry for the majority of the time is getting hit at or behind the line of scrimmage. Like if your identity is running the football and you can't do that, like it seems like it's going to be a long year for the Titans. But what I loved is on the McAfee show with Aaron Rodgers, he's like, is Mike Vrabel still the head football coach there?
Shut the fuck
up. And Pat was trying to say something. He's like, and shut the fuck up. And it just shows that Braves and that they will get the boys playing. Like, it might be gritty every game that you might have to win, but they're going to know how to win. They're going to know what it takes. They're going to know how to try and exploit whatever they can to win that football game in like a dirty fashion.
It showed a lot in that first quarter, especially.
Yeah, they bounced out.
We were
It's like
thumping. Like, the ball was moving. Tannehill looked good. The receivers looked good. Defense looked good.
Yeah.
And then it's still one of those things, like the second half comes and it's like we just play careful with the lead. And
Yeah.
it's like you're saying that the Raiders needed to do last week. Keep that foot on the gas.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully
Like, not play
we'll
safe.
get that out. Yeah, hopefully we'll keep doing that. But yeah, shout out Kevin Byard. Beast.
Yeah, shout out the boys, man. Look, that was a massive win for the boys. Like, I know it
Retiring
seems like
his
I'm on the
jersey
other.
At MTSU this Friday.
Really?
Yeah.
Well deserved. Like, KB's a stud, man. It's been really cool to like watch him grow as not only a player, but he like a leader, captain, person of the community, and everything else. Like, he's a really good fucking dude, man. Yeah, but massive win for the Titans, bro. Like, I know it seems like I was on the other side of the fence because I was rooting for the Raiders to win the game, but it's like it's a weird spot to be in. At the end of the day, I have a lot of good relationships on both sides. I feel like when everything that went down in December and I was in that locker room with the Raiders and all those guys, and like there's just like I wanted them. I was rooting for them. It's hard because I'm rooting for like everybody, but obviously you don't want to be a pussy and not pick somebody. So it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna pick the Raiders.
Right. Watching the game, it was one of those, you see the Raiders offense and defense, you're like, damn, there's the boy. Oh shit, there's
Right.
the boy. There's the boy. And then they get on defense, you're like, oh my, Jayon's there now? Like,
I know.
everybody.
Like, they got the
it was
fellas on
tough.
there. And I feel like I have some of those personable not that I don't have those with the Titans, but I feel like I'm talking to some of those guys on the Raiders a little more often. Like, again, you got Max, Darren, Waller, yeah, Foster. Like, you got
Amir.
Yeah, Amir, bro. Like, Jayon, all those dudes, man. You just got some of the fellas on the team, and you root for root for all the players, and they just have enough to where it's like, yo, I'm pulling for the silver and black. Yeah. They were. I did bet on them, and they let me down heavy. But your boy made a hell of a fucking play, and I hedged it in the second half. So I bet on the Raiders -2.5, and then when the second half came, I went back in and basically doubled down by going Raiders +6.5, and they ended up covering. So it was basically a wash. It was a heady play, but it could end badly. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's get into our all that football talk, fire, anything else that we need to hit, and shout out the boys. Hey, shout out to Two-Tone Blue. Like, I'm still riding as long as you know, I know some people are probably like, oh, you can't, like, you got to be with us or you're not with anybody. I understand that. You're either for the boys or you're against them type of mentality. We kind of created that, and it's tough that I got to be on the outside looking in, but I will be partaking. I am partaking in the Victory Monday lattes, paid for by the parlay that hit the Bet the Boys parlay, which you can check out Bet the Bus every Friday morning. We might be going to Thursday, but you can check out Bet the Bus. It's on YouTube. We roll it on YouTube and audio. We go over the whole slate of games, the whole board for the weekend. But check that out. Let's get into our shout out, our favorite segment, our shout out, no free shout out segment of the week. Blah, start us off, brother. What's your shout out of the week?
My shout out this week, I was reminded how important this is and how much, I never really noticed it until we started making that trip back from Knoxville. I looked at my gas tank, saw that I was running a little bit low, and I was holding out, looking at those gas prices, every county that we kind of went in, and I knew once it got below that $3 mark, that's where I should get gas, because if I went to Nashville, I knew I was going to pay that extra 30 cents, so I went ahead and filled up at that gas tank in that county that gets the gas prices right. So my shout out, no free shout out, goes to filling up just before you get into Nashville.
I love it. Awareness.
Saving money.
Gas price awareness. Yeah. Golf clap. G, go ahead, brother. I want to guess what it is, but I want you go ahead because I think I know.
Oh, I'm off the dome right here. So my shout out, no free shout out, is going to be the Two-Tone Blue getting a dub, needing it. And I know we play the Colts and Washington soon, and then the Colts again. So that could be three dubs and get us back on track.
Ooh, I love that. And shout out to Bussin With The Boys for we didn't hit any panic button at 0-2. I know I was at a predicament kind of rooting for them to go 0-3, I guess, in a weird spin zone. But not in here. We didn't hit the panic button in here. Shout out to you, brother.
Yes, sir.
And that was a good one. I thought you were going to do merchandise. I thought you were going to
let people buy it first.
True.
So my shout out, no free shout out.
Yeah, JP, you're out, brother.
The weather is starting to get a little cold. This isn't going where you think it's going. So our noses are starting to get a little more stuffy. They will start to get more stuffy. And this can happen outside of cold weather, but it happens more frequently in cold weather. And there's nothing better, and parents might be upset at this, but there's nothing better than picking a huge booger out of your nose. Going up there, seeing it, and it's just a beast, and you're like, dang, hey, that felt good.
There are some nose picks that feel good that you kind of pull out and you kind of feel it sliding from your brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want this to end.
Dude, and what a lie that we were told our whole lives. Like, stop picking your nose, stop picking your nose.
I do agree with that because we can all agree that we're we're sneaky nose pickers.
Yeah.
Like hard. You never catch anybody else, so you think like maybe you're a little twisted in the head that you love picking it so much. You're right, man. Free the booger.
Free the booger,
Free the booger. God. That's a good one. You're right. Shout out to picking your fucking nose, dude.
That's a tough one to follow right there.
That's
Especially
tough.
for my first one.
Yeah, this is your first one. Yeah, it's your first one. I think you're gonna get the benefit of that because we're gonna have energy no matter what. But
Yeah.
Mitch, your very first shout out.
This one actually happened this weekend. Moving out of Nashville, got to go to the store and get all the groceries and whatnot. It was at a grocery store. You pick out a cart. Some of those shopping carts, the wheels are all busted. They're tough to like walk with and everything. When you find that one cart where like if you let go and it still goes straight, it's all smooth and everything. That's my shout out, no free shout out of the week. When you get that smooth cart, that just makes the trip a lot more enjoyable.
Hey, can we give Mitch a slow clap for understanding the assignment? Yeah! Hey, that was good, bro. And you do that too. You're like, oh, let me go back. Yes. Oh, man, I wish mine were as detailed as your guys'. Mine's fairly simple. I'm going on the family route. I want to shout out Cerulean and my wife over the weekend that JP already pissed off. Dude, we went to two football games with Rue. We took Rue to 2 football games. Like on Knoxville, we woke up at 5 a.m, got her ready, got her bag ready, got everything else. And I was like, sweetheart, are you sure you want to go? Like, this is going to be a long day for you to have Rue and like, just like follow us around and do all this stuff and be looking after Rue. And then we're going to go on the field. Her naps are going to be off. Like she's probably not going to get one. All the stimulation. Like I'm kind of trying to talk her out of going like, I promise you it's okay if you don't want to go. Cause I could kind of sense that she didn't. She's like, oh man, I kind of want to back out of this. Cause she was in Portland from Sunday to Thursday night. And then we're waking up at like 5 a.m. to go to Knoxville and drive back. Rue was a nightmare on the way back, crying on the way home. Tried to like climb in the back and like play with her and do everything else. And then we got the tailgate Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I'm not gonna lie, boys, I wanted to kind of skip that. I was exhausted from the day before, but I literally thought to myself, like, JP, Mitch, and Bloss have been grinding too. Like those boys are grinding. And if I'm gonna sit here and make that and complain about, man, I don't want to go and have a little party with Raider Nation and Titans Nation and then go watch a game, like I'm such a pussy and a terrible leader. So that was like my little self-talk, because I was like, the boys have been grinding more than me. But then we go to the Titans game and bring Rue to that. Your boy, dad of the year, father of the year. I'm identifying that Charles has been doing a lot, so I'm trying to do as much as I can when we're watching the Titans game. I'm changing Rue on the couch in the back. Oh, sweetheart, I'll get it, this, that. But I want to shout out my wife and my daughter, Rue, for just having a gritty weekend, not complaining about it, and Rue just having her first experiences at football games. Like, it was really cool to like get photos with her on the field and everything else. But that is my shout out, no free shout out of the week. Should we, all right, we're probably at a long intro. Hey, look, pro vibes. Again, comment right now. Say, I'm here for the vibes. I'm here for the intro. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff before we go into the interview. Do we want to do the tier talk? Our tier talk was best months of the year. I would love the back of the bus to have a column of what your tier 3, 2, and 1 is. You rattle them off just so we can get the graphic up for the boys.
Before we hop into that, I do want to double down on the shout out to the boys grinding this weekend, because Jack and I weren't there, and that was a huge help for you guys doing that.
Hey, that's a nice shout out. That's a nice shout out. You guys crushed it though. Hey, you guys fucking grind. You guys did fucking awesome. I know you just, Mitch, you got like thrown into the fire. You got here like last week. You're with your mom picking out apartments. And then like, I'm like, hey, I'll get you a laptop, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, hey, we're going to Knoxville on Saturday morning. And you're kind of like, all right, how we rolling? And you just ride with Bloss. Like you guys fucking grinded. You guys executed at a high level. Like that was a successful weekend. We had fun at the show. We got all the clips. We got clips. We got all this stuff, bro. You guys crushed it. Let's hit your guys' tier talk before we get into this episode with PFT. The tier talk is best months of the year that we did with myself and PFT.
So are we just doing all number ones, and then that'll make
each of your guys' months, and then that'll be the graph.
So my tier one has to be September. It's like
my birthday.
Yeah,
my birthday.
That's exactly why.
I know, my birthday month.
Football just starting to cool off. You still get like that warm weather this summer, but it's starting it's creeping to sweatshirt weather, which is the best. You can't beat that. So yeah, that's
flannel season's coming in.
Yep. That's my tier one.
That's your pick. That's your month. Bloss and Garrett back there figuring out which one they want to do. I love it. JP,
Wait,
what
are you guys gonna say? So I don't say it. Okay. Yeah, my tier one month goes to July, middle of summer, peak heat, 4th of July. Probably my second favorite holiday. And you're like so far out of school. School isn't even on your radar at all. Like in June, you still in high school, like hit the first couple days.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in summer, but July is just like peak summer. And I love summer.
Love that. You are, yeah. Like I would kind of question you. I would think you're a fraud about your summer and sun vibes because you're all about the sun, the beach, and everything else. If you not picked like July.
So Bloss and I agree on this one, and our favorite month is going to be November. It's really crispy. It's, as JP brought it to my attention, rivalry weekend for college football. You are you're in the middle of holiday season. You just come off of Spooktober, have Thanksgiving going into Christmas. So our month is going to be November. Shout out Black Friday, buy merch.
Yeah.
Store.barstoolsports.com/.
Yeah, baby. All right, we'll get into this PFT episode. We talked to him a lot about like him coming into Barstool, right? Yeah. Him coming into Barstool a lot with like him and Arian Foster's relationship on doing macrodosing with him and the team because I just think it's a very unique duo to do macrodosing. We also talk about we talk a lot about my time at the Commanders. Them having their show at ESPN, like how Pardon My Take started. And some of their cease and desist stuff that went on with ESPN. But yeah, a lot of talk about the R words, the FTs, and the C words back when I played on the R words. So there was a lot there because PFT is a massive Washington's fan. And then we did a rollback question at the end. Our tier talk was best months of the year. But you guys will check it out. Anything else, boys?
I think with PFT, there's clearly, with us hitting number one a while back, there was some underlying beef that you and PFT kind of squashed.
There was some friction, because they are the number one sports pod out there. However, we did dethrone them for like a couple different weeks.
So y'all got into the originality of Bussin With The Boys.
Right.
Would be the topic.
Right. It was good for me to learn about their Pardon My Take creation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because we get a lot of people give us a lot of flack, and I'm like, you kind of just go with it because you know that nothing's really original at all. But that was fun to like learn about the beginning of Pardon My Take and their little rise and everything like that. But we solid, boys. Can we get into this episode? Without further ado, enjoy this episode of Bussin With The Boys. Like, subscribe, leave reviews, follow us wherever you get your pods. You can find us on social media. Leave a comment, but enjoy this episode. All right, before we get into this PFT interview, we have to shout out GoCurrency.com. Getting financing for big ticket items like construction equipment, farm machinery, trucks, and trailers can be a complicated and time-consuming process. But that isn't the case with Currency. Currency specializes in finding the best possible rates and terms for all kinds of equipment without all the hassle. With Currency, customers can get loans for up to $500,000 with little or zero money down in terms up to, get this, 72 months. Currency can also help you finance expensive items like new or used motorhomes, fifth wheel RVs, riding lawnmowers, and utility vehicles. All you need to do is fill out an application, and the Currency finance team will get to work finding a lender with the most competitive options out there. It's quick, secure, and free to use. Currency is equipment financing made simple. Visit gocurrency.com and find out what Currency can do for you. Enjoy this PFT interview. So where's Arian? As you can see, we got the team mascot, PFT's dog, Billy Football, back in the back.
Are we recording right now?
Yeah, we've been recording the whole time.
Yeah. I love it.
We were supposed to get potentially Arian Foster on it, but he made a very clutch decision by saying, I'm planning on being hungover.
Yep.
While also giving us hope that he could come on. But at the same time, if I'm not on the pod, it's all good because I already told you I'm planning on the hangover.
Yeah. So he is he's indisposed right now. He's on campus for the first time at Tennessee since he graduated, I think. Or
really?
Since he left school, yeah. So he's meeting up with all his friends, all his old coaches and stuff. And he's being pulled in a lot of different directions. And last night we got to do a drunk late night podcast for the first time with him.
On macrodosing?
On macrodosing. So it was really fun. We went out to a Waffle House. And I think that is the first podcast ever recorded in a Waffle House. So we sat at this table. He brought like two of his old teammates
Come on, Billy. Don't be
from
speaking
college. And he said, yeah.
Don't be speaking out of turn, Billy.
Billy, did you have permission?
Well, it was my idea to go to Waffle House.
Okay, respect to Billy. It was Billy's idea. It was a great idea that he had. And so we show up there at like 2:30. Or no, it was before that. It was like 1 o'clock, 1:30. And we're all pretty inebriated. I accidentally took some mushrooms last night. And so we're trying to... Macrodosing, yeah. Somebody slipped them into my hand and then I took them.
Yeah.
So we were in the Waffle House and we were recording the show. And it was a really touching moment because he's going through all these emotions about coming back to college for the first time. And he's always been a dude who's like... He's not super friendly with college football because he looks at like what he did and he looks at the way that the athletes were kind of exploited for a really long time. Mm-hmm. And he's got a lot of resentment about that he grew up pretty poor and they kept him poor on purpose for longer than they needed to, even though he was bringing in money to the team. And so he's always been like standoffish and had that relationship with college football. But being back here and seeing like some of his old coaches, his old teammates and connecting with the fans, he's really like grown to appreciate college football and the entire environment around him. And he was getting emotional and like crying a little bit last night. It was a beautiful thing. And then also on the pod, yeah. Then we got Big T, who's like the opposite of Arian in terms of he is like a college football nut. He's insane about college football. And seeing how happy Big T was back in this environment and the relationships that have kind of grown up around college football and the University of Tennessee, like Arian started to get emotional and realize that there's a big connection between the players and the fans that sometimes he didn't always see. Now he still thinks that like it was bullshit that they wouldn't pay the players for a very long time, and that's not going to change, nor should it. In terms of like him not liking that, but getting to see him and Big T become close, like bros, it was really cool. And this all happened in a Waffle House at 1:30 a.m. last night, and then afterwards he was so pumped up. He was like, I think I want to do that podcast with Will tomorrow. And I was like, okay, all right. He's like, I'm going to be up early. Just let me know. I was like, okay, we can make it happen. And then he's off doing something else. But yeah, it's
all good. Like if it's his first time, which is mind blowing to me, like maybe he'll start coming back more now that he's kind of had that like moment. Because I would love to talk to him about that stuff because there's always that separation mentally of, because I agree with some of like the exploitation of the players, and you're happy that guys are getting paid in the NIL world.
Yeah.
But there's also that like connection to the university and the connection that you have with like the fans, and I don't know, it's hard to like separate because when you speak on like what Arian always speaks on, you kind of divide yourself from the fans because fans can't necessarily always see it from your perspective because they love the logo, they love all those banners up there so much that it's like, oh, why isn't he being grateful about the time that he had? But then when you're in it, you can like, it's a weird bridge to gap at times.
You're exactly right. It was just cool having that conversation and seeing like him opening up about some of the stuff that he's usually like a little bit guarded about.
Yeah.
Now, was that because the waffles were so good? Was that because
The vibes
were high.
Yeah, and it was late, and you kind of
I don't know what it was, but it was a cool moment. And shout out to Billy Football, whose idea it was to podcast from Waffle House. Want to make sure to get that in there.
Shout out Billy, man.
So Billy's in the background right now.
Yeah,
he's just hanging out.
So how do you get connected? How does the relationship with Arian even come about? Like when you guys drop Macrodose and I see you and Arian Foster doing a pod, like I was thinking to myself, like, oh, he doesn't even seem like somebody who would be like a Barstool guy.
Yeah.
And now he's doing a pod with you called Macrodosing, where you guys, it seems like, talk conspiracy theories or pretty much anything that's on your mind.
Yeah, basically like whatever we're interested in that given week. But we met through, actually he came on Part of My Take back in like 2016, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I started listening to his music because he wanted to talk about his music career. And obviously, like, I had interacted with him before on Twitter and, like, busted his balls about the whole, like, you know, the debate he had where he said that he could take down a wolf.
On Rogan? Yeah.
Yeah, so he said on Twitter one time, like, I could defeat a wolf with my bare hands in combat. And that went so viral that he still gets asked on podcasts to this day to ask if he could take down a wolf. And he still does, yeah. He still does think.
You think he actually believes that?
I think like a beta wolf he could take down.
Yeah.
Like a real, you know, like not a big one, like a medium-sized wolf, maybe one that just ate.
Not like the alpha.
Not a hungry alpha. No, not a hungry alpha at all. But yeah, so we interacted a few times online, and then he came on Part of My Take. I started listening to his music, and we started DMing each other because I was like, this is like legitimately good music that you're making. This is crazy. And then our mutual friend Tommy Alter. I don't know if you know Tommy. If you don't know him, you probably will soon because he knows literally everyone in the world. He co-hosts that the JJ Redick.
I was gonna say
Old Man in the Three.
Yeah.
So he knows everybody in the world. He's a great friend of mine. I met him back in like 2013, like a long time ago. So he kind of reconnected us. We got Arian back on Part of My Take. Arian and I kept in touch after that, and then Tommy actually said, like, I think you should do a podcast with Arian. I think you guys would click together really well. So Arian was like, yeah, let's do it. And we just kind of started with an idea from there. And then Billy overheard me talking about the podcast, and he goes, can I just be like your Jamie on the Joe Rogan show and just fact check? And it's very funny because like Billy's initial role was to be a fact checker on the podcast. Now he's the #1 source of us needing a fact checker on the podcast because he screws up his facts. But
Billy screws up his facts.
Yeah, but Billy was never supposed to be on, well, I don't want to say supposed to be on the show. It was going to be like myself, Arian, Big T, and we were going to just kind of, and Coley was like going to get in the mix occasionally. And then, you know, Billy found out about it. It was like, yo, I want to be on the show. It sounds awesome. And I was like, you know what? Billy would be a great addition to the show. And he has been. So it's kind of like it's evolved and it's grown after it came out. And the first time I saw the numbers, I was like, I didn't want to see the numbers at first.
Dude, there's a weird anxiety that comes with like, I'm doing something different. Like, let's see how it's like a new gut check moment. Like you're back on step one. You're about to go back into step one when you have the comfort of probably all of the PMT stuff. Like I can just do this and be good.
Yeah.
But then when you branch off and do something else, it's like, okay, now I'm going to actually see a reset.
Yeah. Like it's a reset. It's a new thing. I was terrified to look at them. In fact, I didn't look at the numbers for like the first, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks. And then Mikey Fowler, our old podcast data guy, he pulled me aside. He's like, dude, you know, macrodosing is kind of a wagon right now. And I was like, okay, thank God. I'm not a total loser. It was a good moment. It was more relief than it was excitement at the time. But yeah, it's been fun. We shoot the shit about whatever topic is interesting to us that week and just kind of let it rip.
What do you think the pull is to like why it's been successful? Was there a fear of you?
I think Big T.
Big T?
I think Big T he moves merch. Big T is he's an interesting individual. He's so uniquely himself. And sometimes people don't like him at first, but as he says, like if you let me stick around for long enough, you're gonna end up loving me.
Yeah,
because he's very consistent and he is who he is. And even if you don't like him at first, it's like after a while, you have to appreciate the commitment to himself that he has. You know, which is cool.
Were you nervous, kind of being more yourself on like macrodosing? Because it seems like you're more like in your element of talking about that stuff versus like Part of My Take. Not that you're not a stud at it and also in your element, but it's like Part of My Take and the PFT commenter seems more of like the character at times versus macrodosing seems more like you're like what you're actually interested in.
Yeah, so like on Part of My Take, it's just about like fucking around in sports, right? And it's a very fast-paced show. So you have to be like firing on all cylinders all the time. And then on macrodosing, it's more just like a relaxed conversation. So yeah, you're right. I get to like, you know, take the shades off and just be me for a long time, an extended period of time. So it's good to be able to talk, I guess, at a longer format and just be able to get like all my thoughts out there as opposed to just like go. Like I love Part of My Take. It's the best time that I have. It's still like every time I sit down and do the show, I end up laughing my ass off, and like after it's over, I feel like amped up, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I can't sleep after Part of My Take, especially one on Sunday, because I still love doing the show that much. But with macrodosing, it's more just like a free form thing. It's kind of refreshing to be able to just like, you know, just sitting down and just having a long, open-ended conversation sometime with your friends. So,
And you're kind of like learning along the way, and you kind of just get to, it's like you're like hanging out.
yeah.
Like you just get to talk about opinions and kind of like, I guess, break them down and go whichever way you want to, whichever direction you want to go.
Yeah. Billy's looks like he has-
What was your
Look on
favorite
his face.
episode?
Do what?
What was your favorite episode?
Of what?
Macrodosing.
Question, Billy.
Oh, I don't listen to macrodosing throughout.
I respect that, because a lot of people would be like I like them all, or they'd list the last one that we just did.
Yeah.
Do people do that sometimes when they come on Bussin? They like listen to the very last episode and they start like talking to you guys like they listen to the show all the time?
Yeah. They
That's
try
the
to
best.
bring up the one segment that we'll do. That, yeah, I heard you guys talk about like tier talk, and you know I'm excited to kind of talk about that. And you kind of just know, okay, you just throw on the most recent episode.
Yeah.
Because somebody's like, man, I really loved this episode, and then I'm like, oh, did you listen to like? I either refer to the week after, the week before that one to see if they actually listened to the episode. But some people come on and just say, hey, I'm more of a tier 3. Like I just watch your guys' clips on the internet, but I love your guys' stuff.
Yeah. And when you're doing podcasts, you don't have that much time to listen to other people's podcasts sometimes.
For sure. Like you start to see this. People have like a library, what they go through throughout the week. And shout out to everybody who's committed to podcasting, where they kind of have like on Mondays, I'm going to listen to a part of my take that comes out fresh. They have like all week long of how they like roll it out, because people will get like frustrated at times. Hey, you should drop it here because this throws off my routine of listening to this podcast on Thursday.
Yeah, it's a schedule people have.
Yeah.
And people are like super organized about how they listen to podcasts. That could never be me, ever. It's like I just sit down, and if it's on my phone at any given time, I'll just like pop it on for 30 seconds, then I'm out again. Like I don't listen to, the only podcast I listen to on a regular basis
Bussin'?
Is Bussin' With The Boys, number one. I'm a bus boy. And then the second, do you guys have like a name for your listeners?
Yeah, tier 1s.
Tier 1s,
Tier 1s,
okay.
tier 2s. We like we separate everybody. Like,
Gotcha.
you kind of know where you stand.
I like bus boy though. I might be just the only bus boy. I'm the bus boy, and
We're going to start a different cult, and then it's going to be like, we're going to run with it and be like, here you guys go, stealing other ideas from PFT and Big
yeah,
Cat.
There you go. Honestly, like the reason why we're trying to get you a tryout so hard in a workout, and you've seen us, we're active in the text threads, right?
Yeah.
Like we're pushing for Will Compton. The NFL is a better league when Will Compton's playing in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
And
Without saying names and stuff, I don't know. I feel like you guys, I think, dropped a name because people will be in my comments and say, oh, Will's going here because they already said it on PMT.
Yeah.
But I do want to ask, like, how wild later that night when I'm actually getting the call for the tryout, knowing that we're in that group chat, just fucking around.
Yeah.
Like, especially the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I mean, the reason why is because we want, not only is the NFL better with Will Compton in it, but like, we got to get you off the podcast streets. Like we're at Part of My Take, we feel the heat from the boys. And so we're like, we got anything to get him away from a microphone for a while is good for our numbers. So it's in our best interest to get you a
so
job.
you guys see you busting in your rear view a little bit. There's a couple times we passed you out there.
You're on the boat. Okay, that's all right.
How did
let's
it feel?
Let's have the conversation.
We can have the
Well,
conversation.
Let's have the
How did it feel when Bussin' With The Boys surpassed Part of My Take as the #1 sports podcast for, I believe, a few hours?
It was inevitable. It was, quite frankly, we knew it was going to happen, and it was just a matter of when, not whether it would. But the way that the iTunes listings are all set up, like
Spotify as well.
You know that they like whenever somebody has a new podcast, right, and they get a bunch of subscribers all at once, they're always like #1, and they always tweet out like a screenshot with the #1 podcast in America.
Yeah.
It's like do it for 6 years. Do it for 6 years. You know.
Well, we've been at it for 3, so the fact that we got to #1,
it was good. I was happy for you guys, honestly.
we needed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like I think we all understand the game that happens, and you got to take advantage of those moments. Like, did you guys have a thing where you were the first time you were ever #1?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, we're #1. We gotta live in this moment for a second because we're #1.
Yeah.
Now you guys are the best sports podcast. Like you can look at the algorithms on how other sports pods are like #1 on the charts. But if you go by the episodes, if you click on top episodes, like you guys have like all 3 of your episodes are always living in the top 10 like every week.
Yeah, it's been cool to see. Like at first when we were up there, it was almost like surreal. But shout out to ESPN for helping us out right off the bat because they sent us that cease and desist letter telling us to change the name of our podcast like week 1 that we started doing it because it's Pardon My Take, and so it's Pardon the Interruption and First Take combined.
I mean, you never knew the creative genius.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that's why we called it that, honestly, until ESPN sent us that letter. Then I looked at the logo, and our logo was just straight up. We lifted that font. We just copied and pasted from the Pardon and from the Take and smashed them together. And so they told us cease and desist, and that was the best thing that could have happened to us because then I got to, I wrote them a letter back. I wrote them my own cease and desist letter being like, you need to cease and desist sending us cease and desist letters, like step off. And then we started talking about that and the whole like back and forth. Like I remember Big Cat, I think, went on the next show and was like, fuck ESPN. They don't want you to listen to this podcast. And so it turned into a war back and forth between our show and ESPN. And that's good for rating.
Which plays great for you guys.
They fucked up by giving us all that material to work with. So now we're the bad boys of podcasting, getting legal action threatened against us. So that was the best thing that could have happened to the show, honestly. So it gave us good buzz right off the bat.
So you guys aren't as original as you guys always claim to be.
No, dude, everyone's stealing from somebody else.
I know,
right?
bro. There's no, like, I feel like a lot of people share this thought, but there's no originality really anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've listened to your show. I get it.
I'm really trying to
I love you, Will. You know that. Like going back to your days when you were on Washington R Word, like I respected your game.
We interrupt this episode once again because we got to pay the bills. Lightbox Jewelry. No free shout outs to Lightbox Jewelry. Finding the perfect stone for any type of jewelry is difficult, confusing, and often insanely expensive. Lightbox Jewelry offers lab-grown diamonds that are beautiful, high quality, and affordably and transparently priced. It's crazy that some lab-grown diamonds are priced like natural diamonds with those same confusing charts, even though they are grown in a lab that could control the 4 C's that determine pricing. It just doesn't make sense, boys. But Lightbox is out to make the whole process of finding the perfect lab-grown diamond more straightforward and transparent. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are all grown in their industry-changing lab, all grown to do the same stunning standards, so they're all priced the same, equal and fairly priced at $800 a carat. Let me say that again, $800 a carat. For those boys that are going out there and getting married soon, that is insanely important to understand because the shit is expensive when you do real. The more and less you get, the more and less you pay. It's simple as that. So shop now at lightboxjewelry.com and use the boys 10. That's THEBOYS 10 for 10% off. Shop loose stones for custom jewelry at lightboxjewelry.com and get 10% off with the code THEBOYS10. Back to the episode.
I was like, how's this?
Did you respect my game?
Of course, dude.
Because Nate tries to talk to me now like we're boys, and I'm pretty sure Nate used to talk shit on me.
No, I guarantee you he did. Nate talks shit on everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone. That's kind of his thing.
There's like this, and anytime I see him, I'm like trying to bridge that, because that's my own internal therapy that I need to have with myself, that I can't hold my guard up against somebody that I know talked a little shit at once upon a time, because there's always like that hit list of like, oh, I remember you used to talk shit on me. It's hard to like remove yourself from the identity of being a football player. But yeah, I'll see Nate and he'll be like, are we trying to get you back on the Commanders year 10? And I'm like, no.
Not for you.
Yeah, not for you, motherfucker,
for you.
dude.
Yeah, well, do it for me then. Like I did appreciate your game back in the day because you were a captain. You were a defensive captain after being, were you undrafted?
Yeah.
That's
I
crazy.
think you knew that.
I did.
I think you knew that.
I did,
Like, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to
That's-
say it.
That's wild. That's crazy. Like that doesn't happen. So I always respected your game. I hated having to cheer for Kirk Cousins. I absolutely hated it.
Why?
Dude, you know. You know exactly what
know.
I'm talking about. Do you think that Kirk Cousins is a fun quarterback to root for?
What do you mean by fun quarterback?
Like, what's fun about cheering for Kirk? He's gonna.
I pull for the boy Kirk.
You pull for him?
Oh, absolutely.
I just got so frustrated watching him because he would show glimpses of being great, but then he was always like so safe, and it was crazy how much he was like he had the R words in a predicament where they had to choose the whole franchise tag thing on him, and we mishandled that for sure. But he's so frustrating to watch.
But
I think
that right there,
Viking,
you said it. He had the R words in such a predicament, but the R words had him in a predicament as well.
Yeah.
Like they would always tag him. Like I remember we were golfing and he was talking about potentially holding out, but it was never a thought on his mind. He's like, I don't want to because obviously like I'm trying to like help be a leader and like you don't want your quarterback not being at camp because you're trying to hold out on something. But he basically knew he was already franchise tagged. They talked about franchise tagging him the next year. Let's just say for this example, it was like around $25 million a year.
That's about right, yeah.
But the R words, Bruce, basically the way that they would negotiate is say, hey, we'll give you $75 million for 3 years and we'll give you 50 guaranteed. And Kirk's like, why would I do that? I know I'm going to make 50 guaranteed based on the franchise tag. Like that's a dumb move. Like that's not smart for me. Now there are like theories out there like, and I don't know personally, to where he would kind of play more safe ball because you got to protect your numbers because essentially you're going to go to the market.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like you're stuck. You're stuck in the middle of the fans and then the boys and then playing your game because you got to be selfish, but it's like the most selfless game to play and you're always like in the middle of that. And it's like also hats off for kind of like being a Sam Bradford, like Kirk's somebody who gets fully guaranteed contracts all the time.
Yeah.
The ball's always in his court and he bets on himself. So I root for that because I know my man puts in an insane amount of work. As corny as he can be at times, like, and like you play it safe, you see glimpses of greatness. Like the man, like he gets after it. I see the work that he puts in. So, and I know kind of like the predicament he gets put in with whether it's all the contracting and he's not somebody who always talks publicly. Like he keeps everything close to the vest to where everybody else can kind of control the narrative and can control kind of what's said about him. And he's just got to take it to the chin. So that's why I pull for him.
Okay, that makes complete sense. And I think I'm coming at it just strictly from a fan rooting for a team point of view.
Okay.
Like, as far as an individual, he seems like a very nice guy and a good guy. And from a business standpoint, he's done a great job. Like he is awesome at getting paid money to play football. He's maybe the best ever.
Yeah,
he's
arguably the best.
If you look at straight up talent to money to being in the right place at the right time, betting on yourself in all the right circumstances, I think Kirk Cousins is the best money earner in the history of the NFL. He's maximized everything. So I don't begrudge him for that. I'm talking about like strictly from a fan point of view. I feel like he's the worst type of quarterback to root for sometimes because he's so safe and he's a guy that will get you to the playoffs and he'll be good enough to be like, I think we could win a Super Bowl if everything's perfect around Kirk. Like he's that guy that he's good enough to actually win you a Super Bowl. And then it's never going to happen. And so that's frustrating from a fan standpoint to be just that good, to not be great and not be bad. That's the worst place to be as a fan sometimes. Like I've accepted as a Washington Commander that I'm going to never be happy truly with my football team ever. And that's kind of a good feeling. Like I'd almost rather be in that place than to have all this false hope and then just get it snatched away from me year after year after year, like Charlie Brown kicking the football. Like I'm a loser. I'm a big loser, and I'm never going to be a winner. And I'm fine with that. And it's very comforting, like being at peace with that.
It's easier to just play that route knowing you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because there's no expectation to get hurt.
Zero expectations. Like I go into NFL Sunday, I'm like, I just hope we don't get embarrassed today. That'd be cool. Okay, we lost to the Lions. Pretty decent second half, though. That's fine. Like, I don't get as emotionally involved as I used to in the team. And part of that is the way that it's been managed for a while. You got to see a little bit of that up close and what, like, a dysfunctional organization it can be sometimes. And then part of it is just, I'm numb from all the losing.
Yeah, I think it feels good for me because I can freely kind of talk about it. You know what I mean? People are like, hey, would the Commanders bring you back? It's like, I mean, I don't know. I know I've said stuff, so I would be surprised if I'm back there.
It's funny because like that's one team that, people that used to play for different organizations in the NFL, they usually they talk respectfully about them and they say what a great time they had and like nothing but class from this guy, this guy, this guy. And then when it's about the Commanders, people just be like, yeah, that's a weird place to play football.
Bro, and I have a hard time with it because I was there for 5 years, longer than any team I played on, where I feel like I'm more part of Raider Nation and Titans fan base and stuff like that. Because I was there for 5 years. That's where I got all my opportunities. Captain, I loved that locker room. Like I enjoyed that locker room the most because that was the time where I felt most invested in football, to where how are we going to get better this next year, because we have some pieces in place to where we can make some noise type of thing. And then it sucks because from the organizational standpoint, it's just such a mess. I mean, everybody, you talk about it all the time, like everybody sees it. So it's hard to it's hard to play both things, because I would love to just fully claim them because that's where I got my start in football.
Be honest, and I mean this respectfully, even though it's going to sound disrespectful. Apologies in advance. When you got named team captain, were you like, what, really? Like, me? You guys voted for me?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when Jay Gruden came in and interrupted our linebacker meeting. It was like, hey, Will, can I see you for a second? And then I was walking down the hall and I saw Trent Williams, D'Angelo Hall, Niles Paul, and Kirk. And we all go into his office and he kind of tells us that we're going to be captains. I remember sitting there being like, yo, this is the coolest this is the coolest, accolade, whatever you want to call it. This is the coolest moment in my football career. And it still is. Being voted a captain, by your teammates and stuff like that. Especially being an undrafted guy. There's times I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have spoke up and said something or did a little, I would have played more into that role, because there's so much when you're undrafted and you're starting and you're doing all this, there's a part of you that whether you take somebody's job, when I overtook Keenan's job, where he was like a stud, right? And everybody rooted for the guys who get drafted because they're all more in the team than the undrafted guy who kind of makes his way in. There's a part of you that doesn't really feel like you deserve to be there. And then when you are, it's just I don't know, it was a weird dynamic, but it was the coolest moment of my life. It's something that I wish I would have took more advantage of with those guys, because those were the times where I felt most optimistic about winning games and actually feeling like I had influence on a team.
Yeah, you made the playoffs, right?
Just 1 second. There you go. My firstborn, she's getting a little fussy back there. I don't know if the mics are picking it up, but I need my wife to go ahead and take her on a walk.
You're in big time dad mode.
Yeah.
You've went head over heels into dad life.
Yeah, no, I have. But yeah, that was the whole captain thing was it's been the best moment of my career.
Yeah, that's very cool. I have to imagine, knowing that your teammates voted for you too.
Yeah.
It's wow, this is not something I ever expected. And the defense was pretty good. We were all right. Yeah, we had a good team though. I liked that team. That's, I think, when I first started to realize that Kirk was that guy that was good, and maybe not the guy that I'm never going to see a Super Bowl out of Kirk.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you, what was the last time you've actually gotten optimistic and felt like I'm going to emotionally invest into this season with the whether it's the R words, the FT, or the C's?
Yeah, probably last week in the third quarter when Carson Wentz threw a touchdown pass. I was like, this is the guy. I know I say I don't care about the team anymore. I'm not invested.
Yeah.
But when they play well, it's hard not to get a little bit excited about it. But in terms of actual aspirations for the team and thinking that, damn, we're going to be good, it might have been your team.
After you like that year going into the next year?
Yeah, it might have been your team. Before that, RG3's rookie year. RG3,
yeah,
this is going to sound cool. RG3 changed my life. Straight up, he changed my life. He made me love football again.
Really?
I had started doing the thing where I check out and stop paying as much attention to the Washington R words. And I was just thinking to myself, okay, this team is never going to be good. It's never going to be fun. I hate Dan Snyder, the whole thing. I was like, I'm done. I can't support this guy. They draft RG3, and I was like, this dude can fucking ball. This guy plays football in a way that makes me a little rush of blood to the head, you know? And I went to go see his first game in New Orleans at the Superdome, and he just lit it on fire, playing football in a way that you had never seen in the NFL, at least since Michael Vick, but it looked like he was a better passer than Mike Vick was when he first got to the NFL. And I was like, this guy's going to win me multiple Super Bowls. At halftime of that game, I was like, it was so cool because he's got some ties to the city of New Orleans, so they like him down there. And I was walking through the concourse of the Superdome, and people were coming up to me, Saints fans. I was wearing my Brandon Lloyd authentic Washington Redskins jersey, which I think I'm the only person in the history of the world to buy a Brandon Lloyd. We'll have to check that. I don't think that it's ever been sold. They sold one, and it was to me. And there were people in full Saints gear coming up to me being like, you got a quarterback, and hugging me and high-fiving me and shit. And I felt like I was on top of the world. I was like, yeah, I did that. Yeah, my team did that. And so he made me love football again. That's when I started to write about football again, was that year, 2012. And it got me back into sport. I started the Twitter account. I started blogging about it and shit. And it was because RG3 made me love football again. And then halfway through that season, hurts his MCL. Then Kirk comes in against the Browns. Then it's always, from that point on, it was like a back and forth. Are you an RG3 guy? Are you a Kirk guy? But that really set me, that season, at least that first like 8-game stretch, I thought I was going to be like, we got our Tom Brady. Like, I'm going to be Hank. I'm going to be the kid at the parade with like a sign being like, yeah, 37 years old, 7 rings in your face, everybody, you know? That didn't happen.
7 years old waiting on an RG3 autograph.
I'm still waiting on an RG3 interview. He's such a tease.
Well, has he not been on Part of My Take?
No, we DM each other all the time, and he like DMs the main account too. And I'm like, when are we going to get you on the show? And he tells me when he's going to be in town, and then he ghosts me. I get constantly ghosted by RG3.
Oh, that's not a good look, man.
It's not. No, it's
because there's like
bad.
rumors too of like Shanahan was more of a Cousins guy.
Yeah.
Fans were an RG guy, and there was that back and forth because I wasn't there the year that he was like his rookie year.
Yeah.
I came in like when he was coming off of the ACL, and they would like go back and forth in games. Like Kirk would like light it up, and RG, they wanted him to be the guy he was the year before so badly, like make some magic shake.
Yeah, he kind of fucked up and he screwed himself over because he did the like all in for week 1 thing. It sounds like it's the most Russell Wilson thing ever that wasn't done by Russell Wilson. Like the day after he tore his ACL, or very soon thereafter, he signed like an endorsement or started an ad campaign with Gatorade, being like all in for week 1. I'm going to chronicle my return from my ACL. And then
After getting hurt in the playoffs, so it's already January.
Yeah, so he's like, he's telling everyone, I'm going to be playing week 1. There's no way that you can know that when you get surgery. Like, there's a thing called a rehab process that you have to go through. And just because you say it and it's branded and you're doing like pull-ups in a Gatorade commercial, that doesn't mean you can play football on it.
No doubt.
So he came back week 1 and he was very obviously not ready for it because of but he had to do it because he told everyone he was getting paid to be back
All
week
in for
1
week 1
by Gatorade. So he had to come back. Then there was the whole Kirk Robert thing, back and forth. And then that coaching staff. So out of the young hotshot guys that are now head coaches, I love it when they put up that graphic on like Fox. It's like Kyle Shanahan was on that team, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur, Will Compton, Kevin O'Connell, like all these guys, Mike McDaniel. They were all in and around. Why can't we just get one of those guys, you know?
I know,
Just one
right?
of them, any one of those guys.
I know. They couldn't climb the like, you know, that was Gruden's gig. And then they go from position coach, they get a coordinator job elsewhere when the coordinator leaves, and then they want to bring the position coach with them.
It's not really, you can blame the Washington organization for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That one is not that fair to do because Jay Gruden was a coach and they couldn't keep Kyle Shanahan around after they fired his dad.
Right.
That would be awkward.
Yeah.
Right? So they had to fire him. Then Kyle had his guys that he brought with him. We couldn't keep McVay around because he got hired.
Yeah, it's like Shanahan could have chose out of him. He ended up taking LaFleur, right?
Yeah, LaFleur and McDaniel.
And McDaniel.
Yeah. So I guess firing Mike Shanahan was the worst. That was the worst move of all of them, even though, like, at the time, everybody was like, yes, please fire Mike Shanahan, because he very clearly hated coaching that team and hated the ownership. Like, he was not going to stick around. That relationship was toast.
Yeah.
So I guess if RG3 doesn't do the Gatorade ad campaign all in for week 1, and he takes his time rehabilitating himself, then he becomes RG3 again. Mike Shanahan signs contract extension, retires, hands team to Kyle, who then has all of his guys like as his coordinator.
For probably a year or two.
But still,
because McVay's going to do his thing. Like, out of that whole bunch, like, you got to say McVay has been the more successful one because he got a Super Bowl.
Yeah. When he was around, you were around McVay, right?
Yeah.
Were you like, this guy is different, or were you like, this guy's annoying?
Oh, no. Everybody knew that crew was different. I mean, they were like these young guns that we all, I mean, only they can answer that, but we all thought they were just hyped up on Adderall all day long because they'd be staying up all night, like excited about all the play designs that they have. You see them, they always had the most energy every morning, early in the morning, trying to like figure it out. They were always excited about everything.
Yeah.
Always like too excited, but they're like young guns in the game.
Yes.
Like under Shanahan, then some, went with Kyle. The others are working with Gruden. Gruden was like a big wig OC that was coming from Cincinnati. But yeah, those dudes were always like all juiced up, always thinking ball all the time. Like I'd be on scout team and McVay would come in. He's like, Will, I'm going to tell you how we want you to read this. Like, I'm sure he'll shake you up anyway because it's Jordan Reed, but we need you to like fall for this play on Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed would just toast me every day in practice.
Yeah.
But like, hey, Will, we want to see how you play this one. And then, of course, I get fucking shook or something, or I can't cover him. And they're like, good. I think this will work for the game.
That's interesting. So who was it to give confidence to? Was it to give confidence to Jordan? Or was it to give confidence?
It's not get to give confidence to me at all. Like, if anything, I'm just imprinting on my brain that I can't cover people.
Yeah, so are they telling you, like, get a little bit shook on purpose?
Yeah, they'll say, play this. Like, they'll say, hey, play inside of 3, but get a little head up on them. Because they want their guy to make the read that, hey, if they get head up, you got leverage on them to go inside.
So it's like telling them, hey, you can do this when this happens. Like,
yeah.
And then coach
then when
watches
he catches
film,
they have some swag.
coach
They'll
watches
dap
film
him
and
up.
they're like, God damn it, Will, you fucking suck. What are you doing on this coverage?
Now, they won't judge you on practice squad film outside of like effort. You know what I mean? So you would never get that. Now, my linebacker coach at the time, who doesn't know what's going on, like, what are you doing? Take away the inside. Like, we go over this all the time. And I'm like, they want me to get beat inside. But Jordan Reed, that's another one. Just stud, but just couldn't stay on the field.
Yeah, that was tough. And at the end of his career, I was like, dude, please don't come back. Don't come. Like, I'm worried about you. Like, keep healthy. I'm scared that you're gonna get another concussion when you come back out there. He was incredible though when he was playing.
Bro, he was such a stud. Yeah, those years were good. This has basically turned into like a deep dive on the Washington R words back in the day. But this is a good conversation.
You're like the only person that I can commiserate about this team with, because like I bring it up to Nate, and Nate just starts foaming at the mouth and just won't let me talk because he's just so angry about everything with that team. I find little bits of joy here and there and little things that I like to remember.
Yeah. We had our shot in 16, and we underperformed that year.
Yeah.
Because that was when the winning in game against New York, they were already out of it. The whole wide receiver core was down in Miami on a boat that week, and we still ended up losing to them when we knew every play that they were running. Eli, if you look back, Eli literally is doing all of his audibles at the line of scrimmage, and if it was if he was saying a mascot's name, it was a run. If he's saying the city, it's like a pass. And literally, he's saying this at the line of scrimmage, and we still lost the game. We still couldn't stop what was happening. And afterwards, he's like, hey, Will, are you able to predict all the stuff that's going on? Like, can you understand everything that's being said? I was like, yeah, if you guys are going to beat the Cowboys next week, like Sean Lee will pick up on that in a heartbeat. But we still lost that game. Like, we very much underperformed that year in 16.
Yeah, so year 10 loading. Physically, you feeling good?
As good as I can, which is always pretty good.
Yeah, really.
You know what I mean?
It sounds real good.
Yeah. Like,
can I give you just a little bit of coaching?
Yeah, I would love to. I'm open to all feedback.
Just say I'm in the best shape of my life. Like, it's not that hard, Will. Just be
but I think that's the mistake that happens. Like, I don't want to be one of those guys who's always like going into training camp and saying that's like, this is the best I've ever felt in my body.
Because if you fuck up,
that's so stupid. Like, I hate when guys say that.
And if you fuck up, they're like, this is the best he's gonna look.
Yeah, like I'd rather just be honest, because at the end of the day, like.
You're like, I feel
everyone's been following me. I can't just sit there and post diet starts tomorrow and just all this stuff. And hey, I'm in the greatest shape of my life. Like, can I cover punts and be an asset? Absolutely.
How's the bod looking? How's the dad bod looking?
Yeah, it looks like just like that, like what you said.
Is it better than it was in that picture that I always repost?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Like, I've been getting after it the last couple days.
Yeah, nice.
You know what I mean?
Nice.
Like, we're trying to get this thing alive.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that. Just say like, I'm in decent shape, but I can play my way back into shape if you really need me.
Exactly.
Like, if you're desperate, I'll
over
play.
the last 3 years, I've proved that I can finesse training camp and come in at the drop of a hat and play if need be.
Yeah, you're like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Except minus the welfare fraud. Exactly. Probably.
Exactly.
I don't know what you've done. I do not endorse what Will Compton has done with any welfare money.
I'm not stealing from the poor.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I think on part of my take the other day, Hank said something about like stealing from the poor. And I was like, wait, that's like Robin Hood, right? Oh wait, no, it's actually
reverse.
He's a reverse Robin Hood.
Yeah. Hey, sweetheart, you can take Rue on a walk.
Will does shift into dad mode. He like, you hear the baby crying, you just perk up.
Do you hear it? Like, as you're talking, do you hear it? Like, do you feel it's picking it up in the audio? Yeah, it's picking it up.
Yeah, but like I can tell that you're like in tune with your child. You hear the sound, you're like, danger.
Yeah, danger, and also like, you know, hey, I'm trying to feed you, Rue. Like, you're really hurting us here. Like,
we're taking food out of her mouth.
Yeah, she's taking food out of her own mouth, crying.
Yeah. doing,
Billy,
Becky?
you were going to say something earlier. We never got to that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What?
Remember he was going to speak up and say something?
Yeah, he was. I mean, that happens a lot.
How do you like describe Billy? Because Billy's obviously grown in the Barstool Pardon My Take world. Like
Yeah.
I feel like he's your guys' property.
Yeah, he's our dog. Billy's our dog. I mean,
I'm gonna be treated like a human one day.
I mean,
I won't be in the back end interview one day, hopefully.
I mean it in the best way possible. Billy's like a great dog that we have that occasionally misbehaves. But I was telling you earlier that it's like I look at myself. I blame myself when Billy misbehaves sometimes because I haven't done a good enough job as a dog owner. So like I left it in its crate for too long. It gets separation anxiety.
Yeah.
It starts like chewing at the bars. It starts, scratching itself until it gets a rash.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So I blame myself first. And Big Cat and I have very different roles in terms of our parenting, our dog parenting, where Big Cat is like, he's the father, the strict father. Like, I know what's best for you. Just do what I say.
Yeah.
And I'm like the
Mother.
I'm the artsy mom that
You're the mother. You're
wears
the
corduroy pajamas around the house and smells like patchouli, and I'm always playing my weird records and dancing and trying to extract the creative side of Billy. And I'm like, look at our beautiful boy. Look what he drew.
And you're trying to bridge the gap between father and son.
Yeah, I'm like, look at what our son drew, Big Cat. Isn't this beautiful? He's like, that's a fucked up house. Like, that house doesn't have a door.
Yeah.
What is he doing? And I'm like, I think he did a great job in terms of effort. So we have different roles, and I think they both bring different sides out of Billy.
That wasn't patronizing at all.
I think that he was very complimentive.
Yeah, I love Billy. I do love Billy. I think that macrodosing has actually done a good job of letting Billy get out there more and let Billy cook long form,
Yeah, long game.
Yeah.
I mean, macrodosing's been pretty awesome because there was basically a place where I could start putting in more footwork and be able to contribute more than my role and part of my take, where it's, you're a bench player and you're just trying to get in and make plays where you can. But macrodosing's been great because, I've been able to actually put in work.
He's a starter now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's fun. If you've listened to an episode, you might know that, but.
So when Pardon My Take started, talk about that, because you came from the PFT commenter world. You're in Pardon My Take. You guys blow up.
Yeah.
Like, what's that?
Cool. It was like being named team captain. That's what it was like for me.
But then it's got to be like a huge. I mean, I listened to your Beyond the Blog or Behind the Blog with KFC, and you go from writing and being hype about 50 grand to do what you love to do, and now you're PFT with Pardon My Take, and you guys are this massive brand. To be honest, when I was getting introduced to Barstool, I thought when I was in college, I thought you guys were the Chive, you guys were one and the same. And then also it would always throw me off PMT and PTI. I was like, I thought these were these dudes. I always see the dude with sunglasses.
That's why we got sued, because it was confusing for people like you.
But talk about that transition and how that kind of blew up for you.
I mean, it was cool. I was down in Austin and I didn't know whether or not I could podcast or not. I'd done a few things. I did this thing at Sirius for 2 episodes. And then Sirius offered me a bag to do my weekly show there called The Steam Room.
What kind of bag we talking?
We're talking I think it was $75 a month, something like that. Yeah.
I thought you was gonna say something.
No.
They offered me a bag, and then Barstool came in and competed.
I remember when I got the email. I got the
We'll
email
give you
from
$75 an episode.
From the vice president. I could probably look it up actually and see what the exact number was, but it was a wildly disrespectful number that they tried to give me for it, and I was like, well, you can go fuck yourself. Even I know that this is just insane. And so then Big Cat hit me up. He's like, yo, we're getting this money from the Churning Group, and they're going to invest in Barstool, and we're trying to grow some podcasts. I want to co-host the show with you. I was like, yeah, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it. Wait, you guys are offering me a full-time job? Okay, let's sign. Let's do it. And the funny thing about podcasting is it was pretty successful right at first. We had a great launch of the podcast. It was never a doubt in my mind that it was going to work after we sat down and recorded the very first episode. I knew it was going to work. But as you gain a little bit of notoriety and a little bit of people in the media are talking about you and shit, and it's very clear that you're making an impact on the sports media landscape even from day one. But at the end of the day, podcasting is a very nerdy thing. So there's nothing glamorous, this about podcasting.
Yeah.
It's I was still sitting down in front of my computer and talking into a webcam for like an hour a day, and that was my job. There's nothing cool to feel like. You don't feel cool while you do it. I like how I feel after the show because it's fun and it makes me laugh. But like the level of like internet fame that you're getting at one point does not correspond at all in my mind to like what the actual nuts and bolts of the job was.
Yeah.
So I never felt like I was getting like massive and big or whatever, because at the end of the day, I still have to go sit down in my tiny little office in my rent-assisted townhouse in Austin that I got at the time, with Leroy behind me, like licking at the back of my foot as I'm trying to make jokes, dick jokes about college basketball on a podcast for an hour. So it's a very humbling job to have to do all the time, because if you have a bad podcast, you feel like shit afterwards. Like there's a level of prep that you have to put into it, and a level of effort that you have to put into it. Billy knows.
Prep.
A lot of prep.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so it's podcasting in a weird way. It does keep you humble.
Yeah. Because you see it, you'll see the reaction.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing. Like when we were in a podcast, I don't feel like it's up to par. It would always remind me like not playing a good football game. You want to get to the next game or the next pod bad, so
Yeah.
you can like feel better about yourself or like right that wrong that you did. Be like, oh, I'm gonna show up next game.
Have you ever had to like delete a pod or record a pod that you're like, we're not putting this one out?
We've had to delete a pod based on the guest not wanting it out there, which sucked.
That usually just gets people to talk about it more.
Yeah, it was Thomas Rhett.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Thomas Rhett. We did this pod, and there were some things that he didn't want out there, but you can find on Google anyway. It was like one of the things was sponsorship, but we could have edited, we could have corrected that and edited that out. And then it was kind of like, since it was out there and the sponsorship thing was happening, there's like something else he kind of didn't want in there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, hey, just take down the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's more of like a operational, like frustrating thing, because it's hard to like explain that to your fans at the time, and you're not trying to,
Yeah. We had an issue.
you're not trying to shit on the guest because it comes from their like media team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like a weird dynamic. But have we ever not ran a certain pod? Episode zero, like our first pod ever is 000 because we tried running 2. Yeah. Right. But yeah, I don't think we've ever had to delete an episode.
I'm looking up right now. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm trying to look up what that contract was that Sirius offered me for the steam room.
You can see it. You can look it up.
It's still in my email. Yeah, I don't delete any. What's your email at right now? Your inbox.
I think over 4,000.
Yeah, those are rookie numbers. We gotta get those numbers.
What's yours?
I think I'm at like 73,000. Yeah.
73,000 emails.
Yes, and then I've got 2,200.
I'm gonna drink some iced tea
right now.
Yeah, can I get a bev, low-key?
You want a bevy?
Low key, Billy would like a bev.
I've been pounding
You have
these
cups? Yeah, can we get a
amazing
cup for Billy?
Bojangles tendies.
Or can we just get like a watering bowl?
Come on.
I'm joking.
I'm joking. Yeah, like I'm joking.
I'm halfway joking about Billy.
Like, I was very aware that you answered that question earlier, and then I went directly back to something with PFT. Like, I'm just like trying to play into the facade of Billy. Like how you give like an insightful answer, and then I just look back at PFT and just ask him about, pardon my take. And then Billy's like, all right, I guess he just doesn't give a fuck.
I love Billy.
I know you're still salty about the pants. I would like to actually apologize while we're in front of the camera, because I kind of feel bad about that.
That is honestly exactly what I wanted to hear, because there was, like, I'm all about the camaraderie and the banter and the having fun, but I felt like
You think
you
it was
betrayed me.
You
Like,
think
you
it was a little
crossed me.
malicious?
Yeah. I felt like you legitimately
think-
crossed me, because I did. Like, I was fully bought into like, man, this would be good for Billy. Like, this is the route to go. And you crossing me like that, I was just like, damn.
I was in a
This
position.
man really
where
really snaked me.
Mm-hmm.
well, I felt a little betrayed by you,
Why?
because you were trying to get me to do it to Prez, to Dave.
Yeah.
And that was just a bad move.
Think about the numbers it would have done, Billy.
Thank
You
you.
had torn Dave's jeans pants
Yeah,
off.
like at the end of the day, like Dave's all about content. We literally stood him in front of us, and I said, "Hey, Dave, think about this content idea." And we literally said what we were gonna do. We just didn't say it was gonna be him.
I thought it was
I
a
said,
bad
would you
idea.
green light it if you knew it was gonna go viral? He's like, yeah, absolutely. And so I said, like, yo, you're good to go. If you go and get the head man, the top of the mountain, go after the head of the whole machine, you're gonna do numbers.
I know, but at the same time, I kind of felt that you're trying to get me into a situation that wasn't going to be good.
Which
But that's in your own head.
It was.
Or
I was
that
tweaking.
might
I think
also
probably
be
it
true.
was in
Like,
my own head. It
Billy-
was in my own
Billy
head.
probably would have gotten shit on by Dave if he had
So someone had
He
to
would have
get their
gotten shit on by Dave in the name of content.
Yes, yeah, which
He
is
wouldn't
fine.
have actually gotten shit on by Dave like, hey, you're suspended.
Yeah, it's tricky though. Like a lot of people,
You don't know
especially
that.
You don't know?
if they're not like one of the original people at Barstool, they're always afraid of getting shit on by Dave.
Right.
But what they don't understand sometimes is getting shit on by Dave can be the best thing to happen to you
Right.
because it puts you in a massive spotlight for a while. And even though there'll be some people that like absolutely roast you and
Because they're pro Dave. Like it's like the Dave Stoolies.
yeah, so there's the guy Travis is what we call him now, Travie. When he posted that TikTok when he first started working at Barstool, it was like Travis is for the boys. When he was like showing his like day
His
one,
first day fit.
his first day
Yeah,
fit,
and he was
yeah.
like an intern.
Yeah, and he got
Yeah,
he got
yeah.
roasted by it by Dave because he was like, "What the fuck is this? This is the worst thing I've ever seen." And I talked to him. I was like, "Dude, I know it sucks right now. It's like it's very bad for you, but it's going to be good because one, Dave knows who you are. He doesn't know who anybody else is in the intern
Yeah.
class, and now you have a thing. You're a guy, and people associate something with you because of that very cringy video that you put out. But it'll end up being a good thing. It'll be a positive thing for you later." But like, a lot of people need to realize that in the moment it's hard to actually have that recognition because it feels like everyone's coming after you.
Correct.
But when Dave attacks you, it can be very, very beneficial if you play it the right way and you wait it out.
Right. If you play into it and understand that it's not as serious as what you're thinking it is.
Yeah.
Because another moment's going to happen, it's going to go by. And you're right, you get associated with something, which if you can play into that character, like that's kind of the genius behind the creative, right?
Yeah.
And not get too wrapped up, like, because you can get mentally go down a rabbit hole by everybody attacking you, thinking like it's like a very personal feeling.
Yeah.
Versus just knowing if you can like separate yourself from that
Yep.
person who's on social media and just know like this is the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you can learn to like play the game,
Right.
you're in the driver's seat.
It's a hard mental juxtaposition.
It is.
It messes with people's brains.
But I was I think we were on KFC radio talking about this. I'm like, I feel like it's hard for you guys at times because all of you are around each other like 24/7 in the office. And some people can feel a type of way on a personal level that's outside of the internet that can you guys are all around each other, like proximity.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're isolated, then it definitely gets more in your own head.
Yeah.
When things are going bad because you're all that you have. It's like you and then the screen that you look at to get validation sometimes. Have you reached the point, do you read all the comments?
I read comments to look for like more content to play off of.
Yeah.
I've explained it on the pod before, like when I would look at comments playing ball versus looking at comments now to where people try and say anything about playing ball. Like I've been able to compartmentalize it because I would get wrapped up in it. But I feel like I've figured out I have a good separation from it, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess you could say. I do read comments, but it's more like how can I play into the internet to like get some laughs with people.
That's a healthy relationship to have.
Right. Because as long as you like take it, what's being said bad about you, I can be an example for people who feel like they get shit on and like, oh, here's how he deals with it. And it's funny. And it seems like it's not as serious as what everybody makes it because it's not.
Are Twitter replies count as comments?
Yeah. I'm going to count that as a comment, kind of. Good question.
When you put out a tweet, you see the comments. Like, yeah, you could be looking for... Like, it sucks if you put out something and then you're reading the replies because you're seeing what people are saying about it.
Yeah.
Like, I like to look at the replies and I'll be in a chat with JP. Or he'll bring my attention to one of the comments because it's not like you can see it. It's not like you can keep up with every comment.
Yeah.
You might throw off a tweet and for the next few minutes, like you're like, oh, this would be a funny one. And then you want to see the initial comments. But after a while, it's like, hey, why didn't you respond to this comment? Did you not see? And it's like, look, you can't fucking see everything.
Yeah, it's not healthy to see everything either.
Yeah.
You get wrapped up in it, and then people attach their entire like self-worth to the comments liking them, and then the second they don't like you, it just crushes you. It would just
You're not going to
destroy you.
please everybody.
Never.
Also, the psychology that unhappy people are more vocal. So, like, even if the happy people aren't
said,
going to
Billy.
comment.
Mhm.
Said that before?
No, I said that's well said.
Oh, I thought. Yeah, I
Unhappy
mean,
people are going to vocalize more. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's just like Psych 101.
Is that Psych 101? Billy,
Like, all the happy people
I
aren't.
love
All the
that.
happy
That's
people
Psych
are being
101.
It's been
like.
fascinating being around Billy. You know what he said this morning? Don't worry, Billy. This isn't bad. We were just like watching a lot of students and people around town, and I said to Billy, I was like, "It's a very good-looking university here. Like, it's very attractive. Everybody's
Oh, yeah.
attractive here." And Billy was like low key, the reason that there's so many hot chicks is in the South is because of the Civil War and how like demographics shifted when a bunch of dudes went to fight and got killed. And so Billy
Well,
will
it's the same
like,
thing in Eastern Europe.
yes, Billy's like an
It's
anthropologist.
The same concept.
Yeah.
No, seriously. If you look at it,
Am I on a macrodosing episode right now? Like, is this it?
yeah, this is
Yeah,
what it's
pretty
like,
much.
dude.
Billy is like an anthropologist where he sees like the deep reasons behind all these.
You see the pattern from centuries ago.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now it might be complete and total bullshit.
No, but if you look, it's
but then he believes it. So which is great.
No, but like that is something that's true in Eastern Europe, and you could apply the same stuff to the Southern United States.
Tell me about why women are more attractive in Eastern
You
Europe.
know what?
No, I'm curious. I'm being honest.
I don't know. Well, there's more of them.
Yeah.
It's more of like a numbers game.
Okay, so that traces back to World War II. You're saying?
I think so. I read an article about it. I can't cite it right now. I'm gonna get it wrong, and then I'm gonna have to fact check myself.
You're all right. You're all right. Hey, what time are we at JP? All right, cool. Because we could continue to ramble all day long.
Yeah, for sure.
What question do I want to ask you? Dude, I have a tier talk. You guys want to do tier
I'll
talk?
hear anything.
All right, here we go. Tier talk. It's similar to like, do you ever see like the ESPN?
Yeah.
And like Bleacher Report and people do like Mount Rushmores?
I've listened.
Bleacher Report is pretty good.
Yeah, they do like this thing called Mount Rushmore where they'll like do all their top stuff. And we
Yes.
kind of saw it from them and we were like, oh, how can we do a list? And then instead of like four, they're all kind of equivalent. You can kind of pick them wherever and they're kind of on the same level.
Okay.
We like to kind of tier it out 1 through 3. Like one's got to be better than the
So
other.
you guys invented lists.
I wouldn't say invented. We kind of saw it again, like from ESPNs and like the mainstream
the
media
main
stuff,
ones.
like when they do the Mount Rushmores and
For sure.
and we just kind of thought it'd be cool to do actual lists of tiering them,
I like that. That's very novel concept.
like doing actual rankings
Yep.
versus being like, oh, here's the top 10. Like we want to say tier.
Okay. All right.
You know
Should
what I
we
mean?
should we do 4 of one, or what's your tier that you want to talk about?
What's the subject?
Yeah.
I would love to do months.
Can I just do my 4 best months?
Am I allowed?
No. You got to tier them 1 through 3. If you have an honorable mention, you have an honorable mention.
All right. So I'm just
But
going
you
1
want to
through
start,
3.
yeah, but start at 3 going up to 1.
Now
You
is-
can go first, Billy can go second, I can go third.
Sweet.
Wait, it's not a draft where if you say 1,
Wait.
I can't say agree with you.
Okay.
This is
9.
open conversation and
Very
argument.
confusing to me.
No, it's not. Just rank your top 3
My
months.
top 3 months. Number 3. Number 3, I'm going to go with July.
That,
I stole yours. I stole your 3.
yeah.
Hey,
that
look,
was
Billy,
actually
Billy, you can share it. You can share it.
Yeah, I was.
It's like a communist version of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Whatever mountain they chiseled
We can
Stalin's
both
face
share
into,
the
that's what we're
same
doing
one.
right
We can
now.
both tier.
It's your list, like it's your personal list.
Yeah, I'm putting July.
No, hey, it's not your turn. So,
Oh, what?
no,
I
it's
thought
not
we were
your-
going this
Calm
way.
down, Billy.
Yeah, calm down.
So-
You'd like to have him have the floor the whole time so he can explain himself. We don't give a reaction, and then we talk.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so July number 3.
Why? Reasoning?
I mean, July's it's a great month. It still has summer vacation vibes to me. I don't think as humans we get so fucked over. We're grown up as kids. We're taught for the first 18, sometimes to 21 years of our life, basically, that you get off work all of July and August every year, and then you become an adult and you're like, wait, what? No, this is vacation. Like I'm not supposed to be working. It's July. That fucked me up for a while when I entered the real world. It's got 4th of July, great holiday. I associate July with beaches, just taking trips.
Dude, not, and I apologize for interrupting you, but I'm thinking of JP and Jack's comments about New Year's Eve about how it's such an overrated holiday. And we were basically dating it back to like, you grow up with it in your Christmas break, that it was hype then.
Yeah.
But now that it's kind of like, you got to kind of think about work the next day. You don't actually have the next few days off.
Yeah, and then once you hit your 30s and the hangovers last for like 2 days,
Yeah.
then it's actually just like, it's a bad holiday. It's a really
You're just
bad
tired.
holiday.
Like you can't make it to midnight.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Bars too crowded. You have to wait behind like 5 people to get a drink. It's always overpriced. It sucks. So July number 3. So I'm going my number 2 right now.
Yes.
My number 2 month in the world. I'm going to go. I'm going to do. I like November. I'm a big November guy. It's not too cold. Usually not a whole lot of snow. Thanksgiving is I think it's my favorite holiday. I love.
Wait. What's your favorite? Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving might be my favorite holiday. I love it. Just get together
I
with
think that's a hot
family,
take.
friends. I love the food. I love turkey. A lot of people hate on turkey. But yeah, Thanksgiving is always awesome. If you do a deep fried turkey, that will make you love the entire month of November. So I'm gonna go November number 2. We got college football cooking. We got NFL cooking.
Yeah.
Like you start to get the in the hunt graphics start popping up in the NFL right around then. The cornucopia that they put on the score bug at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
I love following the score bug as like the seasons change and the months change. Because October you start to get like the leaves falling on there. And you get one spooky weekend where it's like there's a jack-o'-lantern and maybe like a ghost or something at the bottom. Then you go into November and you get the cornucopia, which I've never actually seen in person. A cornucopia, it seems like a rather inefficient way to present food.
Yeah.
Where you just dump
It's
it
an
on.
elusive thing that you've never actually saw. It's kind of like Bigfoot.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's another thing that we're grown up to like expect around Thanksgiving. Somebody's going to have a giant wicker basket that's overflowing with an abundance of produce that they're just going to throw on the table. And it never happens. But so I love following the score bug. Then we get into December and you start to get the Christmas lights around the Fox NFL Sunday thing. And then after Christmas, you just get the snow falling. So that's every year it's the same, and I love it. I love following it every year.
So November.
November number 2, and then number 1, my number 1 month of all time. I think we're in it right now, boys. I think we're in it. I think it's September.
Whoa.
I think September might be the strongest
birthday.
month.
Whoa.
Because it's Will's birthday.
Yeah.
And now there's
September 19th.
a lot of people saying that if you're born in September, you basically have to make it in professional sports because you're older than everybody else in your grade. So you have a natural advantage. Like I was born in January, so I was doomed from the start. I was never going to be an athlete.
You're the kid where you're in the grade and you don't have the peach fuzz yet coming in because you're like a few months later and you kind of get made fun of for you don't have peach fuzz yet.
Didn't have peach fuzz. I still don't have peach fuzz. I only had like one armpit with hair in it as it first started growing. Meanwhile, I was next to my main man Ali that was in the 8th grade locker room next to me after gym class, and he had a full chest of hair and a full beard in 8th grade, and he was like 300 pounds, maybe not 300, maybe like 230. Still a big boy for that age. And then it was me. I was like 110 pounds in 8th grade, only tiny bit of hair underneath one armpit, standing next. I was like, we're not the same human. But that's what a September birthday will do for you. So, yeah, you're kind of like it's a system month for athletes. But I think September is the strongest month. You get the best weather. I think it's not unbearably hot, but you still have summer vibes to it.
Yeah.
You have football that gets started, which is fantastic. And then you start to feel the autumn air come in as the season gets a little bit, or as September gets a little bit, later in the month. So I think I'm going to go September number 1.
And that seems like it's based around all football vibes.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it entirely.
Oldest in the grade, you better make it in football. Like it's everything's based around the football.
Entirely. I just live life on a football calendar. Sometimes we'll be like in the middle of like the March Madness in NCAA, or it'll be like NBA playoffs, and we'll be doing part of my take, and I'll just refer to it being the off season right now. And Big Cat will look at me like,
that's true.
He's like, dude, it's the NCAA tournament happening right now. This is one of the best times of the year, and I do love the NCAA tournament. But at the same time, like in the back of my head, I'm like, no, we're in the off season right now.
yeah, we don't have to be doing this. We're just choosing it. Billy, you're up, brother.
Can I choose same months in different tiers?
Yeah, and listen, this is your top 3 list.
Okay.
It could be the exact same if you want. You can say the exact wording and say,
Yeah.
hey, you changed my life with all those 3 picks. I'm going to go with all of them.
So for 3, I think. Okay, for 3, I'm gonna go with May, because May is when it all starts popping off. It's when you really come out of the winter. It's when you appreciate the warm days the most. It's the best for activities. A little, sometimes it's a little rainy, but it's like the first 80-degree days, first time you're really coming out of the winter, and it's just great for vibes. Everyone's buzzing in May.
I mean,
think about it.
I like Billy's explanation, which it's the best month for activities.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a point, though.
Yeah, he does.
As much as I'm waiting for him to say something that we can kind of laugh at, like, I'm on board with that. I'm on board with that month.
Here. I mean, you're cooped up all winter. May comes out.
Activities.
That's when it starts popping off.
Yeah, I'd say April.
How many times you said popping off as your reasoning?
I'd say if we're doing a tier of best months for activities, I think that might be. I would include. I'd say April in front of May.
No, but life is all about activities.
Yeah, no, I know that. I'm just saying April, I think, is a better activity
April
month.
showers.
Yeah.
A little rainy.
You don't like dancing in the rain?
Yeah, but just wet.
Depending on where you are, you can still be cold in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It'll
true.
be a little-
That's true. Chicago. It's gonna be cold in April in
it's not-
Chicago.
April's not fun
Yeah.
in Chicago,
Shit.
which you'll be. We'll talk about that too.
My second tier, I'm going with December, just because Christmas vibes. Christmas Christmas is still king.
Christmas is king, and we're
Yeah.
saying it again.
Yeah.
Which is great. Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it's still number one. I mean,
we're saying it again.
Remember that we stopped entirely for like 6 years.
Yeah.
You couldn't say Merry
Happy
Christmas,
holidays.
you get arrested.
like,
And now it's back, baby.
Merry Christmas.
no, but like football is number one
Oh,
for all sports. Like Christmas and the holiday season of December is still number one overall
December
holiday.
ball. Playoff
Yeah.
time's coming.
Yeah, I do like.
No, that's
December.
when you enjoy winter. It's not when it's like, oh, this is going on for too long. This is like first snows. This is when winter activities are fun.
Yeah.
But December 26th, I feel like you just dive off a cliff. Like
Yeah.
that's
No,
when it's
but
over with.
the thing is, I was gonna butt in when you guys were talking about New Year's Eve, but New Year's Eve, its whole purpose is to give you a little life after Christmas. It gives
That-
you
we were
an
saying
extra
that.
couple days to be like, oh no, it's not over. It's like between
But
Christmas
then you get
and New
there
Year's
and you
Eve.
actually realize how overrated it is. Like, man, why am I getting,
but
why am I trying to keep this
that's
flame
why.
alive?
But
Yep.
January
Yep.
1st is when the letdown comes, not December 26th.
You get some bowl games.
December 26th, you're like living it up. Like you're like, oh, we got something else coming, and it's not all over. You're
You
not
know, Billy
like,
was the type of kid who showed off all of his Christmas gifts. He just said December 26th, you live it up. Like, he's going around showing off all of his Christmas.
no.
What's the best Christmas present you ever got, Billy?
I don't even remember it.
Did you wear your Christmas outfit your parents got you like the first day back?
No, well, we had to try it on, like that day.
Yeah.
It was like you get something for Christmas. It was like, oh, you gotta try it on. Then you go put on your new whatever you
You
got.
definitely have like a favorite toy or a favorite Christmas gift.
I'm trying to think. I mostly just got like cleats and new like sports stuff.
You probably get the new football video game.
Oh yeah, I mean Madden, but you can't really show that off.
Yeah, like you seem like a kid who didn't get the video game right when it came out. You had to like wait for a
Oh
holiday.
yeah, I always got Madden at Christmas. I never got it in August.
Because your parents were probably like, we can dangle Madden over his head and make him behave.
Make him be a good boy.
Yeah, for 4 months. You get 4 months of good behavior out of Billy because he's thinking about Madden.
Going over to my friend's house, playing the new Madden, being like, "Oh, I can't wait to play Superstar mode." Like, I'm gonna have like several different superstars, like one quarterback, one linebacker. Like, it was sick.
We did have this debate on macrodosing at one point, and if you're listening in the car right now with maybe a child that is under the age of 11 or so, might want to turn this part off.
Even 12.
But is Santa Claus the biggest conspiracy of all time? Like a conspiracy theory that's actually real? Like every adult gets together and we're like, we're gonna lie to every child that's out there and be like, yo, there's a big fat guy that's gonna reward you if you're good. Like that's a literal conspiracy theory. And for some reason we're like, yeah, it's cool to lie to every kid about this. Just straight up lie.
I
to
think
their
that's a
face.
very good point. I think there's a lot of unpacking with that one.
Yeah.
Because I'm on board with it, but I would hate to interrupt Billy's tier talk.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think that's a great question. That probably deserves like 30 minutes of our attention.
Do we mistrust the government because of Santa Claus? That's the real
It
question.
scars every kid. Every kid
Think
has
about
to go
it.
through trauma and find out that every adult's lied to them their entire life. That fucks kids up. Like okay, we'll get into
Your
it later.
child's right there. Are you gonna lie to your child?
Absolutely. We gotta have the Christmas vibes up. We need her to be a good girl. She's sleeping
What
right
happens?
now.
All right, Billy.
Sweetheart, you want some Bojangles?
Billy,
My
Number one.
Number one. So this is where I'm going to agree with PFT. I am a sucker for July.
okay.
Number one, July. July 4th, great holiday.
mama.
July is just literally, even though we don't have technically summer vacation anymore, there's always summer Fridays. You know, a lot of people get all of July 4th week off, and we low key take the last week of July off. We work remote, so
Ikey.
it's goated.
All right,
July.
July's goated. Good talk.
July is goated. All right, mine. I will say my tier 3. I share the same exact sentiment as Billy Football. I think May. You're coming out. We were actually talking about it the other day. JP, he's horrified for the winter to come in because that seasonal depression kicks in where it gets dark super early. Like I think you do. You go through the winter months. That's what I think the benefit is about like living in the I mean, Tennessee's kind of the Midwest, or like where you get all 4 seasons.
You're gonna get people real mad.
I know, I'm gonna get people pissed off. But they all know I'm a Midwest guy.
It's all people from like Indiana and Ohio. They get so mad when people try to define what the Midwest is. They're like, "Fuck you, that's not."
Or when Virginia can't, like when Virginia's like, "Oh, we're part of the South." Like, no, you're not.
I love doing that. I like to tell people online bad food opinions, and then they get mad at me. I'm like, I'm from the South. I'm from Northern Virginia.
Northern Virginia.
Some of y'all don't know how to cook. I always drop the y'all in there.
Yeah.
You season y'all. I'm from Northern Virginia.
But Tennessee experiences all 4 seasons. And I think like you're excited going into winter, but when you come out on the other side and May is kicking off and you start getting teased with those warmer months, like sand volleyball starts getting played. Again, activities. Spike ball, people are going outside. You go to like a local park and like, everybody's out there with their dog.
Parties.
Like the vibes are up. The vibes are up. So I share.
With that seasonal depression going into winter, that's like, that makes that May, like, I don't even know what the opposite is. Like seasonal mania, like seasonal, just like
happiness.
Seasonal,
Order.
Yeah. Seasonal euphoria.
Yeah, seasonal euphoria. I like that.
May is all about seasonal euphoria.
Yeah.
My tier 2 is, so I know what my 1 is. My tier 2 is November. I agree that you're going into holiday season. Thanksgiving isn't my favorite month, but isn't my favorite holiday, but it's a holiday you can appreciate because there's no expectation of gift giving.
Yeah.
Which I think is like a very underrated thing. Like you're around friends and family. There's zero expectation of gift giving. Like you're just there to like say what you appreciate about somebody. And you're right. Like the football season, you're starting to get into December football. Right after Thanksgiving's up, the Christmas tree, the vibes are absolutely up. Like you are playing Christmas music. Like it's Christmas all month long in December, basically. However, those vibes start in November.
Yeah.
And you're in prime football season. My tier 1, it's without a question October, the month that we're coming up in. Spooktober, number 1. We're big Halloween guys over here. We're a big Halloween podcast. The weather's breaking. Like the weather's breaking right now in this very back half of September, and the leaves start to fall in October.
That's always
like,
nice.
It's hard to, when it's Friday and you get off work, or Saturday morning when we're already in prime football season, and you got that whiter sunlight that's coming out. It comes out in September, but fall, you just have so much. The themes start happening: pumpkin spice lattes, pumpkin cream cold brews. All of this, the ciders start coming out. People are tailgating for real. They're coming out with their unique dishes to October. Like Spooktober all month long is the ultimate vibe. I feel like
that's a good explanation. I also think in October the variety of clothes that you can wear is at the peak. I think that there's so many different combinations in that month.
Yeah.
It lets you dress. It lets you start styling on people. And I think you can stunt on more people in October than any other month.
I like
really
that.
start dressing.
You can wear every variety. Like you can still probably get away with shorts if you want to.
Yeah.
People might judge you, and then you're arguing with them on like whose flex is better.
Yeah, you can do shorts. You can do scarves even sometimes mixed up. Then you got costumes coming in at the end.
Yeah.
Wide variety.
Yeah.
I got to wrap it up from Mad Dog over there because we have the college football show.
I think we all do.
We are. Yeah, you're going.
Yeah, I gotta go over there too.
Yeah, let's all be late. They can't get us all.
We're all. That's true. That's true.
Hey, do we have anything else that we gotta do? Oh, the row back question. Do you're familiar with the last final question? Do you want to recite the material?
So Rowback, it's the best company that you can choose for polos, quarter zips, hoodies, you name it. If you're looking to get out there on the course, play some golf, they've got great golf shirts. If you see me wearing a collared shirt, it's a Rowback. Besides that, I don't mess with them at all. Go to rowback.com, use promo code PMT.
Boys, BOYS.
Promo code PMT, get 20% off. It's the best deal that they run, so go check it out. You guys do have cool merch, by the way, the boys merch.
I appreciate that.
I always look at that. I'm like, Will had an original idea. Good job.
Just look up old vintage tees and then try to figure something out there. Like, hey, let's parlay all this stuff together.
Yeah. My Rowback question.
Have you copped any merch? Do you rock any of our merch?
I don't cop.
I'm gonna get some Spooktober merch.
I do.
We need people buying into Spooktober for real. We're gonna be.
I'm kind of down to get scary this October.
Okay.
Yeah, like let's get
scary.
spooky,
dude. Let's get spooky. But my final Rowback question: has there ever been? What's been the most uncomfortable situation with you and Big Cat throughout your tenure at Barstool Sports? Like, is it weird with the dynamic because he's in Barstool, you're more of a talent. Like, has there ever been a little bit of division with that?
I don't think that we've ever had like any weird tension-filled moment. I think
What's been the most tension-filled moment? There we go.
Yeah, okay, the most tension-filled moment.
Because we need a little bit of drama. Like, we get to sit with you.
I'm trying to think what it would be.
Hear the tea?
Probably.
Yeah, like, dude, us joining and partnering with Barstool, like getting to know everybody, it's been awesome. And then I've watched all the documentary stuff that you guys have done. So everybody's coming in. You get to know the company and how it's been built. It's like you're always curious, like what's going on behind the scenes, because it takes like a certain level of, like it takes a high level of execution to keep everybody involved and bought in all the time. And so I'm curious, like those conversations are things that go on behind the scenes that nobody knows about.
I like to think that part of my take has been successful because Big Cat and I we never let our egos get in the way of anything. Like, we realize how lucky we are to be doing this, and it's very fun. It's the best job in the world. So I think there's none of that like headbutting that goes on, and he's a very easy guy to work with. Like, Big Cat is the most talented person I think in sports media. So like I'm lucky to get to work with him. I think maybe the most tension-filled, maybe either after Barstool Van Talk got canceled on ESPN, and we didn't know we were both mad. We were mad about the way that the whole thing went down. We were mad at everybody. Like a wide variety of anger coming from all directions for everybody involved in it. But that was just like a tension-filled time in general. Besides that, maybe the medium rare plus debates that we have sometimes. Like, Big Cat gets mad about that because I tell him that medium rare plus is a high maintenance order to make from a steakhouse. And it started out, I was like, that's not a real order, dude. Like, I was saying it in a way that made it seem like there was no temperature between medium and medium rare. But in reality, it's more of a conversation to have about whether it's an acceptable order to make at a steakhouse. Like, if I was a waiter and I heard somebody say medium rare
and
plus.
You guys were close to going toes.
We've gone at it over that on the podcast a couple times. We make clips out of it, and you can see that we're both mad at each other for our takes on medium rare plus. But if that's the biggest fight that we have in like almost 7 years of podcasting, I think we're doing okay.
I mean,
Like, third person perspective, they don't fight. It's kind of weird.
That's good to know. That's good to know. Like, I feel like I've been curious that, like, man, how do they balance everything and like keep everything solid?
We have a very very healthy relationship. I think it's grown nicely, and then sometimes we'll get somebody like Billy, we'll adopt a child, and then if me and Big Cat ever have any like anger towards each other or tension towards each other, we just take it out on Billy, which is a very healthy redirection of anything that we might.
They also keep it together for the child. So like, if you're wondering why, if you're wondering why, like my biggest role is like keeping the podcast together. So
so when Billy fucks up, what he's actually doing is keeping the podcast together.
So like that's my role.
He realized he's taking the suspension for the betterment
I had to start.
The boys.
I had to start acting up this whole Chicago thing. So I acted up hard over the summer just to make sure it was all gonna go, meshed together.
Great job, Billy. You did a great job.
Yeah, that was a great job, Billy. But I feel you. There was one time Taylor and I felt like you could see us actually figure out who's going to win this argument. 5 guys and In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Like, it was a tough look for
Bojangles.
It was a tough look for In-N-Out and that whole fan base that week.
It was.
But, dude, thanks for coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Respect.
We'll all go hit the college football show. Everybody, if you're watching, subscribe, like, comment, do all this stuff, leave reviews. Follow Billy Football on Twitter.
Can I plug your podcast on your podcast?
Absolutely.
I feel like there's a lot of PMT heads that are watching right now. Hey, if you enjoy Part of My Take and macrodosing, you might also enjoy listening to a podcast called Bussin With The Boys with Will Compton. How's that? Check it out. Give it a look. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. Make sure to leave a 4-star review for it.
Don't do that to us.
Go 4 exactly.
Only give them 4.
I was rolling right now.
I think you can do half stars. So give them 4.5.
No, I'll give them 5 stars, but I just want to let the people out there that might not be familiar with the Bussin' the Boys podcast listen to Bussin' With The Boys. Tell them Part of My Take sent you.
That's fine. I'm down with that.
Cool.
You guys see us as a little brother, or do you see us as competition?
We see everybody as competition.
That's respect. That's a nod of respect. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for being inclusive of me in this interview.